T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Kush'S Korner here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. Tonight, I am privileged to have MJ joining me on the podcast. Apparently, 3 podcasts a week aren't enough for him, and here we are to do a 4th one. So I'm very grateful for his time tonight as a part of his busy schedule. We have a lot to talk about, but before we get into everything, as always, USARK. So USARK is the organization that is fighting for our rights to keep our reptiles, to run our reptile businesses, and to pursue this way of life. Check out usark.org for all of the information you need to know about the organization. And if you are not already, please look into becoming a member of USARK. As a community, we have strength in numbers, and the more people we have behind the cause, the better. And tonight we are brought to you by Juggernaut Reptiles. Elijah Armas, one of the leaders in the blood python and short-tail python game. Their collection does not end there. They have also ball pythons, anacondas, a number of other species. But particularly if you are in the world of blood and short-tail pythons, these are one of the go-tos. Check them out on all forms of social media to see what they have going on. We are also brought to you by GS Reptiles. Gary Scavino, one of the leaders in the arboreal game. He is doing things at the highest level for green tree pythons, carpet pythons, emerald tree boas, Madagascar tree boas, you name it. Gary has it. Bolin's pythons, as you guys can see on the banner on the video. Check out GS Reptiles on YouTube as well. One of my personal favorite reptile-related YouTube channels of good quality content that's not sensationalized, very entertaining, very well done. Can't say enough good things about Gary Scavino and GS Reptiles. And last but most certainly not least, we are brought to you by Texas Chondros. Mark Hager, another one of the guys at the forefront of the designer green tree python world. Not only is he a great breeder of green tree pythons, he also runs the Texas Chondros Instagram page, which features green tree pythons from not only his collection, but other keepers across the great state of Texas. So check out Texas Chondros for all of your Texas-related chondro needs. And here we are. I'm not sure why my screen is small like that. Hey, there we go. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in live. The live chat is already popping. Please subscribe here on the YouTube channel. If you are listening to the audio version of the show on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio content from, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, all of that good stuff. But without further ado, I want to get right to this conversation. What is going on?
What's good?
How's life treating you these days, sir?
Well, 7 days a week. That's all I got to say. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yes, I do. I know how it is minus the kid. That's got to throw another extra layer into everything.
Yeah, that definitely threw a 12-6 curveball at me. You know what I mean? But the fact that Leo's like moving and grooving now, like it's quick. It's quick. Yeah. Luckily, so one of his favorite things to do is grab forceps out of the racks, my chondro racks. But that distracts him from even knowing that he could even pull tub open. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was able to buy some time right now, because once he knows how to open those tubs and once he knows what's in those tubs, man, I don't know. We'll see. But doing good, man. First and foremost, thanks for having me, Steven. Want to say very proud of your work. No one is putting out the content that you're putting out in the reptile podcasting game right now. So for me to be on this show, I know it didn't come easy, and I wanted it to be like that first and foremost. But listen, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Yeah. No, dude, this is awesome. It's been far too long since we've just had a podcast, the two of us. I think that would have been like January or February or so when we were on Trap Talk doing it. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah, you know, but different dynamic here though, man. The tables have turned, you know.
Tables have most certainly turned, and this is it's definitely a first. We've done plenty of Steven and MJ podcasts, but it definitely has never been in this orientation. So
no, and even in that setting, I'm always asking you questions. You're never asking me questions. You guys are all in for a treat. Steven has never on a podcast sat down and asked me questions ever. I don't think ever, even in the past episodes.
Maybe one or two scattered through, but definitely not like this. This is definitely a first.
Hold on, Steven. Can we get the likes up, please, guys? I have to do this first and foremost. Steven's not that raunchy. I am. Get the likes up right now, please. Thanks for Thank you for everyone. All right.
We're not gonna say anything until we have at least 20 likes. All right, 3, 2, 1.
I remember I used to do that, dude. YouTube started taking away, like they started fucking with my likes when I started doing that. They started like flagging me.
Really?
When I started like kind of like threatening people, like I'm gonna end the live if you don't get the likes up. You know. I swear they started fucking with my likes. But anyways,
that's funny. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, on that note, have you been interviewed on your channel yet?
I think once. Mark Hager came and did an episode. I did an episode with Mark Hager where he kind of interviewed me on a Monday night, like a new breed on the block. So I guess I have. I've had my own episode on a Monday night, new breed on the block. Which respectful, you know. I never even gave myself a Thursday night slot yet. You know what I mean? Holy shit. So, but yeah. I guess I say I have, and I can't even remember what the hell we talked about. It was probably about a year ago or something like that.
Okay,
it was a good time.
Well, before we get into it, this is a major throwback in the chat right here. Fucking Tanner, man, coming all the way from Indiana potentially. This is a throwback.
Tanner from fucking back in the day with Forrest Tanner.
Tanner.
What? Damn. That is some OG shit right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tanner kind of departed as I was coming around, but I was following around. I was following Reptile, Forrest, Desiree, and Cold Blooded Cafe around that time where I knew who Tanner was for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Tanner.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people have found you over the years, especially since you've been doing the podcast. And, you know, I think that for one, I'll give you a lot of credit. Your audience is a lot of new people, which is really important because there are not a lot of people that are really bringing in new people into the hobby. But for all those newer people, they really don't know much of your origin story. So I want to kind of get into that for a little while. First, kind of in depth, what took you from one to the place to the next. But I guess we'll start with, I mean, what really got you into having the idea of keeping reptiles? Because, you know, we have very different stories. I was, you know, a little kid doing this, but you kind of found this a little bit later on.
It's a tiny, well, it's for my dabs, but I'm holding a silver spoon right now. That was Steven, all right, first and foremost. Not I. I'm just kidding, Steven. No, but listen, good question, you know, because a lot of the things I go hard about, right? Like, I don't know, like kind of not doing your research before getting into things, or don't overbuy, or like don't, you know, get ahead of yourself. Those are all things I did. Like, you don't understand that I came in the way I preach not to come in, you know, but I don't regret it either because it got me everything that I know. Like, it's, you know, and it's also something where I did see whatever like was rough in the beginning, learning like, you know, imports that came in. Is this me or you? Is that you?
Probably you, bud.
I'm sorry.
I'm on silent.
I'm sorry. That's a rookie. That's a rookie guest move right there. And I get low key upset when anyone does that on my show. So I apologize for that. But anyway,
off the rails already.
But anyways, I'm definitely like a story built off a lot of like mistakes, you know, but based off mistakes that I didn't like repeat. Like, I knew there was things that you go through, but I knew that there's things you don't want to keep going through, right? Like, I mean, what was the biggest thing I learned in the beginning? Mites, right? Like, holy shit, like, you know, you deal with stuff that comes from everywhere. You're going to encounter mites at some point, especially stuff that was handpicked out of the wild. Who knows in whose collection for how long, and then it comes into your place. And then, you know, it just kind of like, you know, at the end of the day, what motivated me was the people I was surrounding myself with, right? Like with ball pythons, I would say with ball pythons, which started everything. Like it all started with ball pythons. Okay. Like I was a broken guy, and like just turned 30, and just over partying. You know, I was a DJ / working at a gym and selling drugs and just not, I was having fun. Don't get me wrong, but like, it wasn't going nowhere. Yeah, I was having a good time. Like, but like, partying, I partied like that. Like, I was a rock star all through my 20s. Like, I fucking raged, but I just kind of just saw, like, I had a lot of older friends and saw that they were like already approaching their 40s and they were still doing what I was doing. And I was like, I don't know if I want to, like, I was like looking around. I was like, I don't know if I want this. And so I started like kind of like double thinking things. And then like when you do drugs and you come down off the drugs, you really like think and just like really fucking it eats you up. And so I was coming down.
It's you harder then.
Yeah, bro. And but it wasn't leaving me. And then I had like a lot of broken like moments where I finally like went cold turkey. I remember canceling. I had big DJ gigs in Mexico at the time. And I remember just like canceling all the plans that we had. I had hotels booked, everything. And I said, because I knew what was going to happen if I went down there. Like I knew how I can't control myself. Like I knew the scene down there. So anyways, I said, fuck it, enough was enough. And that's when I wanted a snake really bad. Because even in some part of my 20s, I had a reptile. I had a snake, I had a boa constrictor for quite a while. And I think it was a real red tail boa from what I remember. I have pictures. I'll send it to you. I probably should have had them ready, but I had a red tail boa that got really, really big, like way too big to what I understood what to do with it. But then once I like parted ways with that red tail boa, which I was like, I think about like 27, that's when I went about like 4 years without no reptile. And then it just dawned on me, like, like I wanted a reason to stay home basically. And I was like, what's going to keep me home right now? And I was like, a snake. Like I want a snake really bad. And so I remember looking on Craigslist because Craigslist was popping back then, still is, I guess. But Craigslist was like, that was a spot for, everything. And so I looked up, like, I think I typed in ball python because ball python is what I knew from a kid. I had a ball python as a boy. That was my very first snake, was a ball python. So I typed in ball python Craigslist and saw photos and saw these yellow looking ones. And I was, I saw a blue-eye Lucy for the first time. Okay. And I was like, what the fuck I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, what is this? And then that's when I went and bought the snake from somebody in a trailer. So I go like, it's called Santee. It's not far from here, but I go to Santee to meet this guy, super sketch in a trailer. But it's like, you can tell it's like a bummy teenager living with his mom. Like he had like SpongeBob's pajama sweatpants on and like just looked like a greasy kid who just didn't leave, like your typical, like what we get, like the I guess you call them the fucking basement breeders, like type of shit, like ones that just don't leave their house. Like that was this kid. But he was like really upset, like, because I was buying this snake from him for $75. Okay. And he told me, he's like, man, he's like, I shouldn't be selling this snake because this is a really good snake. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what the fuck, like, whatever, like, it's, you want it or not. And so he's like, just so you know, like, if you ever breed this thing, it's an orange ghost pastel Mojave, and it will make you really good babies someday. And I remember just not forgetting those genes for whatever reason. Actually, what it was is when I went home, I Googled those genes. And when I Googled what he sold me to compare it, that's when I saw the whole world of ball pythons. And then that's when I saw that link to Snake Bites Television on YouTube. And once I caught wind of Brian Barczyk, and I went back to like all the way, like, see, by that time it was 2015 or 2016, I want to say it was. So I went back to like 6 years of vlogs, bro. And I was like, what? And I'll never forget the racks. Like when I saw the rack systems, like when I was like, I couldn't believe you could keep snakes like that. Cause I had them in tanks in my closet. I legit had, at that time, I think by the time I was really going crazy over Barczyk videos, I had about 4 ball pythons all bought off Craigslist. And they were all individually in tanks in my closet on the floor. And I put my shoes on, and I had my shoes on top of them. So, and it worked out until they all got loose one time. But anyway, so yeah, that's when I was like, wow. And so, to speed things up, obviously I knew like, wow, these snakes could get expensive. Like I remember I really wanted a blue-eye Lucy. And I couldn't find a blue-eye Lucy. Like, dude, just to even spend $75, I thought was a little bit wild, but I was like, okay, that's like a Petco price for a snake. So that's nothing too crazy. But then when I started seeing like 300, 400, 600, I was like thinking like, that's fucking nuts. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I didn't even want to spend that kind of money. Like I was like, I was so happy with just the $75 Craigslist buy. And I remember I got a killer bee for like 200. I think the most I was spending at that time on a ball python was $200. Okay.
Okay.
And so, mind you, like to speed things up, I have my 4 snakes. I meet Lily, my wife now, but I meet Lily, who we got together after a meeting at the gym because she was up and coming personal trainer, and I was the guy who sold training for the personal trainers. And so one night we're in our room, like we're Netflixing and chilling, right? And we're just like, and I'm staring at Craigslist again, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" And I showed her the blue-eyed Lucy. She's like, "Damn," she's like, "It's a really cool snake." She's like, "I want this snake so bad." She's like, "Well, why don't you just get it?" And I was like, "What?" And like, mind you, I never had a girl ever, other than my sisters and my mom and like maybe family members. I never had a girl like encourage me to do something that I wanted to do. So Lily was the first one to like, even though snakes wasn't her thing, right? Because, you know, mind you, all the girls I ever dated were selfish. It was about what they wanted, right? So even though, so Lily, you know, fucking the angel right here, she was like, "Why don't you just get it?" And I was like, low key, like, because I didn't want to tell her this at the time, but I was like, I'm broke as fuck. But she's like,
for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I was like, that's just crazy, don't you think? Like $300 for a snake? She's like, yeah, but she's like, look, you have like, you know, I remember by that time I had all my snakes in a rack system now. Like I remember I found out I started looking up snake racks, right? And then I found someone selling one on Craigslist, and I got a snake rack on Craigslist that held 8 26-quart tubs. Long ways. So like you know, not narrow, but like the long ways. You know,
that one of the older racks you used to have at your old place?
Yeah, definitely an OG one. Yeah. Yep. And so mind you, so she gets it. Like she's like, dude, you have like, she's like, just get it. And I'm like, wow. And so she ended up buying it for me. She ended up, she ended up like surprising me and buying me. It wasn't a blue-eyed Lucy, it was a pied. She ended up buying me a pied because by the time I was really considering it, I graduated from wanting a blue-eyed Lucy to a pied. Like I remember how bad I wanted a pied more than anything. I was like, dude, I couldn't believe what the fuck a pied looked like when I first saw it. Mind you, it was first banana. Banana first rocked my world. And then a killer bee was like, that's nuts. Okay. And then, but when I saw pied, bro, that's when it changed everything. That's when I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And by that, and around then, they're like still $1,000. Pied were like about $1,000, $1,200. They were still pretty expensive back then. So I remember I luckily found one. I found a guy selling it on Craigslist for $475. It was a male. And I named it MJ. And yeah, she got me that snake. Yep. And then she got, dude, check out how sick this girl, my wife is. Then she got me my first chondro after that. Mimi, who's still alive right here. I know we're not getting into chondros yet, but I'm just saying she bought Mimi. She bought Mimi, my very first chondro. Yellow neonate, unfortunately. It is what it is, but she bought my very first chondro that also came from Craigslist. And so the stars aligned for me, man. Listen, at the end of the day, you could want something so bad, but if it just isn't meant to work out, it's not meant to work out. And everything I'm going to tell you guys tonight just meant to work out for me. I'm sorry, like Steven coming into my life. You know what I mean? Like, Steven, did you think we would be this tight meeting when you were 17? You saw how wild I was and you almost didn't want anything to do with me at one point. Remember that? Okay. And look where we are now. Like, isn't that pretty wild where, like, remember I told you how things were going to be 5 years ago? I was like, I'm going to fucking take this podcast to a whole nother level, bro. And I told you that, right? And
I'll give you credit for that.
I did tell you that. And so, but listen, I just know that going from Lily saying, go follow your dreams, here are some snakes you really love, to like meeting people. And then that's what it was, right? Because obviously I wanted these snakes, but bro, you can't go into this not knowing shit. And that's when I found out that there's people out there who will give you misinformation, you know, like they're legit people out there who will just give you wrong information and just watch you fail and low key laugh. You know what I mean? Like behind the scenes, right? And then the first person that ever say what?
Some pretty big people too. Some people
big time. Yeah. And these are people I looked up to for sure. Like these are people like the first accounts where I'm like, wow, I want to be that guy someday, you know? And mind you, these people are no longer around. They checked out like waves ago, like not this current wave, waves ago they dropped out. So, but mind you, like I was like, dude, like, you know, whatever. Like I just know it's all about the people you meet. And I will always say, I haven't talked to this individual in years. Well, it's been like, I don't know how many, but Chris Surgery, Ball Pythons 101, man. That was the very first guy who told me, hey, like, if you are going to post snakes, don't do it from a private account because you said you're a music guy. Nobody nobody likes snakes probably in your DJ world. So, because I would ask him, like, nobody likes my pictures. Like, I was like, I get like one like, and it's like my aunt, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like, and he told me, like, he's like, go public. And I'm like, all right. And like, just that little, you know, that little footstep, because once I did that out, you know, even back then there's an algorithm. Instagram put me in the algorithm where they started giving me all these snake posts. And that was like a whole nother other world, you know, that was like the next wave. And so me and Chris Surgery definitely became good friends in the beginning. And then it led me to Miguel, and then Miguel Garcia, dude. That's what really kind of gave me the confidence. But also the knowledge, man, because this guy came in, you know, a little bit like before I did, but like he was making some crazy noise. He had so many people talking shit because just the way he was. And I just was, for the way he was what I love. Like, I love people like that. Like, I like a motherfucker who just ain't got nothing to worry about. Like, he loves who he is and whatever, you know? And so I really latched on to that in the beginning with Miguel. And we, you know, he taught me about Tinleys, and fucking, he explained what US ARC meant, because I didn't know what US ARC meant for actually, I think Forrest taught me what US ARC meant. Because I remember, I thought US ARC and NARBC went together at one point. I was so confused. I had no idea, you know, what all these goddamn letters meant.
I remember.
Remember that? Yeah, I think we talked about that. Yeah. But anyways, like, dude, yeah. So I mean, that's basically what, like, that's the chapter one of everything. And then like the meeting people is what really took things off, because, you know, like, come on, like, that's, you know, I remember meeting Andrew, who eventually showed me Zoo Dreams Instagram account, which that's when it goes from like knowing the ball python game and what that does to like, oh my God, what the fuck is this blue snake? And then, like, you know, remember the tricolor monitor, like the list goes on what Forrest had on his page. It was nuts. I remember there has been one point where I didn't look at no other pages but Forrest's every day, because I'm like, dude, nobody has sick shit like this. Like, I'm like, it was like a one-stop shop of the sickest shit out there that you could have in your collection. You know what I mean? And I remember it was all stuff I couldn't afford, like all stuff that was like, yeah, right. You know, like just the dreamiest shit in the world. Like, he really fulfilled that name. You know what I mean? So yeah. So, and so the floodgates open, and then I want to say right after, like very after I found Forrest, I found you. And it had to be because of the white lips. Back then, the white lips was something that I was like I had a good group going. Remember, I had a good, you know, projects going with the white lips, and you had Southerns, you had the Northerns, and you just had this way of displaying your photos. Like, you know, mind you, like back then, nobody really posted really good photos, period. Like, nobody had a theme. You know what I mean? Like, and that was pre everything now. Like, you know, and you had a theme. You had your backyard. You know, you had I remember just seeing your porch and like the lead, and it was like such a signature Kush post, right? And so, but that's what motivated me to, like, you know, learn more, you know, and that's what connected us, right? Because we would talk all the time on Instagram. And then I tripped out when I found out how young you were. And then what really connected all the dots is when, I don't even know how you and Forrest met, but then when I found out that you said, fuck university, because you literally were supposed to go to a 4-year university, and you went to go work at RepTech and Cold Water Cafe instead. Yeah. And then once that happened, that's when me and Forrest started the podcast, which that's what we all molded together after that.
Yeah.
Yep. We were like Voltron.
Well, I want to take it back a little bit, and you know, that was, I wish all guests could just take up like 20 minutes on one question. That'd be fucking awesome.
I could have kept going for sure. Sorry.
Oh, I know. I'm not doubting you, but I want to go back to kind of earlier on, when you were first getting those ball pythons off of Craigslist. Did you even know that there was like a community and like the whole social media thing, and then did you even have the thought of breeding in your mind?
So, okay, so the breeding thing came into my mind before I knew there was a community, right? Because who influenced me to even think about breeding these snakes was a kid named, he's not a kid no more. It's like 26 or 27 years old. Still looks young, but his name is Victor, and he lives not far from me at all. He was somebody I bought my very first adult ball python, and she hasn't been bred before. I think she was about 3, and I forgot. I bought one snake off him, and then he's like, bro, I have this I remember, I'll never forget the genes. Super pastel cinnamon fire yellow belly, he's like 900 grams. He's like he's like by the I think it was like probably springtime, and he's like by the end of the year she'll be ready to breed. And I'm like, wow. And so I was like, what? And I think I looked up breeding, like how to breed, all on YouTube first. I think it was dude, I don't want to leave him out because I want to give him props. Oh, dude, Gavin from the UK. Balls to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a huge fan. Yeah, I was a huge fan of his YouTube content. So I started watching because he had very easy like techniques, like very straightforward, how to incubate and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So I started learning off that, and then that's when I met Chris Ursery. That's when because I started posting more photos, and I was like following only like maybe 5 accounts, you know, and Chris was one of them. Ball Pythons 101. Mm-hmm. And so I remember we just started messaging, you know, and that's kind of when it went from there. And that's when I was like looking at his stuff, right? Because back then he was the first person to show me GHI, which GHI is like my forever love in the ball python game. You know, like that's, you know, if I ever have a ball python, I'm gonna have a GHI something, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, like I said, man, like it was this little like footsteps to the next obsession that just kept growing. But then like it came to a point where I was like, I want to get good at this. Like I want to, because if I'm meeting people like Miguel, if I'm meeting people like yourself, or like people who are like, basically I started looking at the people I started like becoming friends with, and I was like, these are people you're friends with because they're hella sick at this shit, right? But you should be really sick at this shit too. So that's basically all it came down to. Like, you know, it's like that saying, I'll keep saying it, you are who you hang around with, right? And I low-key want to hang out with the fucking biggest gangsters in the reptile game. And that was always my thing. And I was good at it. When I had Miguel, people were very envious about my relationship with Miguel in the beginning. Like, fucking, I just always got a taste of the hate. And mind you, I didn't give a fuck about having friends in the beginning. I mean, I can't say I don't now because I'm very welcoming, a lot more welcoming than I was in the beginning. But I felt so content just being cool with Miguel and Chris and the minimal people that I didn't want to be a part of the community because I saw how much like little bitchy and fucking backstabbing. Like I just saw so many things going on that still go on to this day, obviously, that I'm like, fuck these weenies. Like I was like, nah, dude, because you know, it's just a lot of people who are aggressive behind a keyboard, you know what I mean? And it's nobody who has these type of feelings in person or even on a podcast, right? I've had so many people, Steven, act a certain way in a comment section, but not when the camera's rolling. What? Where's that energy? Like, why aren't you so comfortable saying it like this or in person versus on a computer? Why can that be? I don't know. That's just not me. I'm the complete opposite of that. You know what I mean? Like, I almost, man, I feel it's so better not even commenting because I know if I need to talk to this person, I'll see them, and you know, and I'll see what's the problem. And there's never ever a problem. There's never once been a problem. I challenge anyone. If you have a problem with me, come tell me, please. Nobody ever does. And that's the thing. That's because I know there's a lot of chicken shit motherfuckers in this shit, right? Not everyone, but really, like, there's a lot of pussy activity, bro, that's been happening to Miguel when he first came in, other people, you know. So that's why in the very, very beginning, Steven, I was very hard to like for a reason. And I still am sometimes because I don't bow down to that shit. I just don't. Especially if I know if I know you're fake, like I will be extra like MJ a little bit because I just don't like it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, unfortunately, it seems like not only one is that just kind of like part of the human condition, but it's just like very prevalent within what we do. And I think a lot of it is because the reptile industry really blurs the lines of a casual hobby and like a real profession. And because if it was more professional, you couldn't act like that because no one would take you seriously. But if it was a fully casual, then it would be total chaos. But there's, you know, multi-million-dollar corporations that are involved in this industry. So it's, you know, it's legit, but it has this kind of casual vibe to it, which makes it very like, it blurs the lines a lot of business transaction versus friendship. And, you know, there's just lots of fakeness that is derived from that kind of dynamic.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to learn how to live with that, because if you want to, here's the thing, like I'm very happy for this network because it cleaned my act up a lot. You know, at the end of the day, like, you can't do nothing on your own. If I would have that attitude I had 5 years from now, like, and I never really grew from that, I would not be anywhere where I'm at. And there's like, you understand that you have to just, like, there's a time and a place, you know what I mean? First and foremost. And you're never gonna fucking run out of content if you want to talk about fakeness, because it happens so fucking much. You just got to learn to work with it, because it's a part of human culture. You know what I mean? And and shout out to Mark Bailey, our good friend, right? Shout out to Mark Bailey, who's been one of my biggest supporters, not only as a mentor, but like to this network, one of the biggest supporters. And he believes in me, believes in us. He loves what you're doing. You know, he just got done leaving San Diego. We had dinner together and whatnot. And he was talking about how proud he is about what you're doing, what everything is doing, right? But I don't even know where I was going with that. What was I saying right before that?
About fake people.
But Mark Bailey always told me, and he really started telling me this when I went through my, getting canceled phase, right? He told me, he's like, MJ, just be professional. That's it. No matter what it is, because everything that you're doing so on point, just be professional. That's it. Like, don't individually bash people, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right? Because no matter how many people you get who are excited in the comments, there's fans of the biggest piece of shits on earth. Like, no matter how you have so many solid points about something, and it's about individually somebody that you call out, you're going to piss somebody off no matter what. And that's also because you just shouldn't individually attack people on a public platform. You know what I mean? And especially if you want to be a professional. So I started taking that phrase Mark Bailey told me, like, to heart, right? Like, I don't drink on I haven't drank on the show and I don't know how long. I don't drink on the podcast no more. I just recently, I went months without smoking, and then I was like, fuck it, I miss smoking. I started smoking again, and then Marshall was like, we can't get this guest on because you smoke. And I'm like, well, why don't you just tell me? He's like, well, you don't listen to me. And I'm like, whatever, Marshall. So then I went back to not
in the room.
Yeah, then I went back to not smoking, which is good. I'd rather not. Like, I don't need to smoke on the show. It's fucking whatever, dude. Like, I'm high enough all the time. It's cool. You know what I mean? But it also, I will mind you though, there have been times where as soon as I smoked, I have brought up some epic topics. So I don't know. So sometimes it does hit, especially if, like, really low. Okay, here's the thing. The reason why I smoked so heavily in the beginning is because how many hours were our podcasts back in the day? Bro, we used to rock 3-4 hour podcasts on the regular, bro. And I was drinking, smoking the whole time.
Dude, I think we got over 5 one time.
Yeah, was that Cody?
I think it was just the 2 of us as well. There were some,
dude.
I know, like the old one with Barcheck and McCurley, that was like 4.5. Some of the ones at Forest were pushing 4+. And mind you, for me, it was 9 p.m. Eastern time in the Eastern time zone, and I had just worked a 14-hour day.
Hey, show Lisa's comment. I want to tell that story. Because this is a good story.
You can see.
This is also a good. This was also when I knew how fucking weird people were in the community. Okay, so check this out. This is shortly after I became friends with Chris Sursery. I bought a snake off Chris Sursery. Chris sold me a pastel 100% het clown. Okay, and so after I posted one picture of that snake, Chris messaged me. He's like, MJ, I'm pretty positive that has blade in it, and I'm like, does it? And then, of course, new fucking ball python keeper. I was like, an extra gene for free? I was like, I couldn't believe it. And so I reposted it and I said, this is a pastel blade, 100% het clown. Okay. And then this was actually my first taste of trolls, very first time. So I get somebody in the comments saying that there's no blade in that. And mind you, like, I'm like, whatever Chris says he's right. You're wrong. Like, this is also where I don't recommend, like, no matter who your mentors are, like, always, like, look into things, right? And I never looked into it. Like, I would, it's kind of the same way I am now. I'm not happy about it. I'm very, like, I react very quickly. Like, so probably one of the quickest reactors you guys will ever meet in your entire life. Okay. So I reacted quick. Shut up, Stevie. You don't have to keep going. But listen, so of course this guy takes it to the chats, right? Or to the messages, right? And he's going back. He's like, first and foremost, like, so this is from him. He's talking shit about Chris, saying Chris don't have blade. He's lying that he has blade, and he's going on and on. And I'm thinking, like, this is pretty, like, hardcore. Like, you're really, like, going out of your way to tell me how you feel about this. And so I end up getting aggressive with them and just say, dude, like pretty much go fuck yourself. Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm going to keep, because he told me to take Blade out of the caption. He's like, you need to remove it. And I'm like, so he's like, oh, he's like, you think you're tough? He's like, I'm in Temecula. I know you're in San Diego. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll drive down right now. I was like, oof. I was like, please do. And so I gave him a pin drop to like, you know, because remember my old house where the first trap was?
Yeah.
You know, there's a few streets before you got to my street. Mm-hmm. So I gave him a street to like 2 blocks down, a pin drop, right? And I was like, meet me right here. And dude, sure enough, he was driving down, and I was like, he was sending me his map. He's like, I'll be there in 45 minutes. And this is like 5 in the, mind you, it's typical MJ getting this hyped up at like 5:30 in the morning. This is so like, this was just old school. I've never changed, anyways. So I'm like, I'm gonna fuck this dude up. So I was so like excited. So I got my jumpsuit on, like I got like my shoes on, and he's like telling me he's about an exit away, and I'm like, fuck yeah. So I'm like pumped, and and I have video footage. By the way, I have video footage of all this because my plan was to go live. My plan was to go live. Okay, I swear to God, I wanted to make an example of this guy so bad, and so my plan was to go live. So I go down to the spot, and I'm waiting for him, and I'm just waiting, and I'm waiting, and I see this like this Toyota Corolla, like this like broke down white Toyota Corolla, like. And I'm like, what the fuck? And the windows are rolled up, and I just see this fat fucking blob, like this fat dark fucking blob, okay? And he's like, he pulls up, and I'm there on the street, like, what's up? And he pulls up, and he cracks his window. He's like, hey, I just want to talk, man. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, talk about what? There's nothing to talk about. Like, what? You drove 45 minutes. You drove, and he had like, he looked like he was ready to go to work. Like he had like a badge. Like it was just like, and so I'm like, I was like, and I was still aggressive. He didn't want to get out the car. I was like, bro, I was like, get the fuck out of the car. And I'm looking in the back of this car. There's like fucking fast food wrappers. Like, I'm just like, dude, this guy's disgusting. You know what I mean? And so I tell him, I'm like, listen, just get out of the car. Like, what's your fucking deal, guy? And he gets out of his car and just goes on again about the Blade and tells me how Chris Cercery is selling me fake Blade. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, just get back in your car, bro, and never waste my fucking time again, bro. So that guy did come down, but no, yeah, that's a real story, okay? I forget his name. I don't even want to know it was a long time ago, but yeah, that's like a good example why I wanted nothing to do with a lot of these motherfuckers for a long time. And I swear to God, I got video clips of all this shit. Swear to God, this is not. I'm not making this up.
Driving 45 minutes to try to convince someone that they don't have a gene that may or may not actually exist is wild.
I walked 3 blocks. That's it. Even that was too much, but I don't give a fuck. I didn't drive no 45 minutes.
Oh,
and I still had 2 hours before I had to get to work. So I had time. I was ready. You know what I mean? That asshole was late to work. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
Yeah. Anyways, that's and mind you, like I really started judging the ball python community based off like individuals like that until I started getting put on, right? And again, shout to Miguel. Miguel was the one who connected me with some really cool ball python breeders, like ones who I like are still friends with today, you know, like really good homies. Ones that you're homies with, Nick from Renowned Reptiles, like you know, there's a lot of people that you've even met. That you know that have made the ball python world a good place, and I'm not trying to like steer anyone away from it. Like it's just I'm just telling you, it could take a while before you really find your place of who you want to be around in the ball python game. But don't fucking bow down to no sucker shit. I'll tell you that much. And yeah, and because there are options out there. I'll tell you that community wise. Yeah,
across the board, really. I mean, it's I don't know. I've been around for quite a long time, and this shit ain't that serious.
It's not that serious. But here's the thing.
It's that serious.
And I'm glad you
in boxes, like, you know.
Yeah, listen. And that's why another thing, right? Another reason why to like, we get it. There's fake shit out there. What can you do about it? It doesn't matter. Like, it's not that serious what they're being fake about. What they're being fake about is more of a personal issue versus what it means to you personally, right? Because think about how many haters you might have, Steven. It has no effect on your scrub success. 0. Like the number of clutches that you produce this year have nothing to do with what people think about you at all. Period. 0. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So there you go. And that's another thing I started realizing is because, mind you, like, I mean, let's let this out, right? People want to know, what happened with Cold Blooded Cafe? Well, you guys both made a decision to not sponsor me no more because of the backlash you were getting for supporting me, correct? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So, and that right there was obviously like that's a business decision. And I've talked to Des about this, and I obviously have no ill will. Like I love, listen, we are whatever we have is more than the sponsorship. And I always told you guys that it was just the situation of how it was going down. But I had to check myself and tell myself that whatever it is that I'm doing, like I have control of it. Like even though these people are going after all my sponsors and trying to get me to fucking get off, like they have no control of me still doing my job. And my job is this fucking podcast, right? And mind you, I've come a long way since that scenario, that situation. But like nobody really has an effect on the work that you do except you. Like, dude, we're the masterminds of our work. And so, but like, mind you, bro, it could really get into your head sometimes. Sometimes people get, not everyone can handle the troll shit too well. I'll tell you that much. That's why people stay quiet. Let's be real. Some people aren't like myself because they don't want that fucking, you know what I mean, to deal with the shit that I deal with sometimes, like yourself. But I tell you, Steven, there's a time and place where you gotta fucking speak up, Steven. You're getting better at it, dude. But come on. You can do better. I hope 2025 you get the poke around a little bit more. That's it.
We'll see.
I don't want to be selfish, but I'm just saying I want more solo Stephen Kush podcast with a couple hot poke sticks, and then I eventually want to see Conservation Carl come back. That's 2025. That he might be an evolved version, but we need Conservation Carl for sure.
Yeah, I think. From what I understand, he got over his double leg break that he experienced in the Amazon, where he fell out of a 30-foot tree going after an emerald tree boa, and he was in Colombian hospital for 2 years, and he got shook down by the cartel time after time. Dude,
he's been through some shit. Remember when they wouldn't deport him back to America, and they fucking took his They took his passport in Brazil one time.
Yeah.
That was
COVID.
wild. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, Carl's been through it. I mean, luckily he has multiple cell phones. So like they took the first cell phone, but they didn't get the burner. So like he was still able to kind of communicate with the outside world, but he couldn't do too much because then it would give up that he had the other burner phone. So yeah, Carl's, but I can only imagine. I haven't spoken to Carl. He's texted me a couple of times. To be honest, I didn't respond, but I can only imagine a lot on his mind after like 4 years of solitary in Colombia and Brazil. That's got to be rough.
Do you remember how close we were to dropping fucking Conservation Carl merch? Like I had the design and everything. Bro, remember that? It was going to be on a white shirt. I'll never forget. Fuck.
I remember that.
Yeah, man. Those are the good old days, bro. I will say, man, go ahead.
I think he brought some of those to some of the uncontacted tribes in the Amazon. So there might be some uncontacted tribes running around with like Conservation Carl loincloths in the Amazon right now, at least from what I understand.
Oh man. Yeah, man. Good times, bro.
Oh shit. Well, anyway, we're all over the place, but I do want to kind of keep going on the timeline. I want to know, by the time you started discovering like the online reptile community, Barcheck videos, all of the above, like how big was your collection by that point in time?
I grew very quick, like I think by the time I met Forrest, like I knew I was friends with Joe Switalski. I wouldn't say friends. Like I knew I was getting stuff from Joe before I was friends with Forrest.
Yeah. Sure.
And I built this relationship where like it was nothing like it was after when I met Forrest, but like, Joe was hooking me up and sending me some cool shit. But then when I met Forrest and I saw, and like, again, this is nothing that I'm proud of, but like once I saw a vlog of somebody at Forrest's place and I saw him taking chondros out of Target tubs and just putting them on a rack, I was like, wait a minute, you could do that? I was like, how the fuck can you do that? And so I looked into it and I definitely went that route and started going chondro ape shit. Like once I found out how easy it was to keep chondros in a Target tub, in the trap, I went nuts. I went fucking ape shit, bro. So I would say I remember buying chondro, like at least 8 chondros my first year, all imports. I don't think I. Oh, hold on. I take that back. My second snake was United States captive born and bred, and she's still here. She's a Vinsky Blue Line Biak from a good friend of mine. My good friend of mine named John, who he was his last chondro clutch, and he was like, he got his ass whooped by the chondros, like a lot of people do, right? And he's like, dude, I'm done after this. Like, he's like, if you want a baby, I'll hook you up. Like, these are gonna be really nice. And I'm like, all right. And he gave me one for $500. And I'll never forget, like, I remember like thinking like these are import prices, like in like he bred this, and he showed me the lineages, and like he had this snake had siblings that were just insane, like dark, and this one was like a decent one, but it just showed me it had crazy bloodline in it, right? So yeah, I mean, I got that snake, but then obviously like I didn't come into this game with money. Actually, like Lily gave me an option. Like, she knew I sold drugs, and she knew I had a way of getting like fast money if I needed it. And she eventually cut that all off. Like, it got to a point where she's like, you either going to keep doing that and I'm a dip, or you're going to stop doing that and we could just stay together and work all this out. And so it was definitely some rough times in the beginning, because I was going back and forth. Like, I was like saying, okay, I won't, but then I would, and we almost had a couple moments where it, shit almost hit the fan, but I had to make a decision, and luckily I made the right decision. Because I don't know where I would be, bro. I really don't. That's why I also like, and this is why I got to remind myself, this isn't as serious to everybody, and it's not that serious, but to me, Steven, and you always kind of knew this is pretty serious to me. Like, I take this because what it's done to my life, and I don't see no other life, Steven. Like, shout out to you met my boy Emilio, right? You met Emilio before, right? Mm-hmm. And he's somebody like myself who doesn't see any end in this, like, for any time soon. Like we're in this shit for the long run. You know what I mean? And it's like yourself, Steven. Like, one thing I always admired about you is like, A, how young you are, and like B, how the future, like you're the future because how young you are. And I see your drive. I see what you were doing prior to Scrubs and now what you're doing with Scrubs. And all I want to do is be around people like that. Like, I want to be around lifers. Like, one of my circle of friends is Ryan Young. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I consider this guy definitely one of my top fucking handful of friends in the hobby, who I could call anytime. He's come to Trap Fest. Okay. I gave him a terrible herping experience, and he's still one of my good friends. Like, this is, you don't do that to Ryan. You know what I mean? Couple things you don't do to Ryan. You do not send him a designer neonate. Okay. And you do not take him on a fucking herping trip where you don't find anything. And luckily, I only did one of those things. No, but dude, honestly, like, man, I just love the people, like I do, like, and I'm learning to love more because I'm learning to be like more outgoing, and you gotta be like, you can't like, especially with what we're doing, Steven, like, we need more people in this, right? Mm-hmm. So there is a time and place where you gotta welcome new people, you gotta be more, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, I'm very low tolerance when it comes to like fuckery shit. That's it. Like, in the same way you are, like, Steven, the thing about you, Steven, like, you do a clean break and don't make any noise over it. I make noise. You know what I mean? So that's where you and I are different. And that's why I need to be more like you, and you need to be more like me, but more like I need to be more like you. Versus
bridges can be very useful. I see no purpose of burning them down.
And that is a fact. Honestly, you are 100% right. Because there were definitely more than a handful of people I had to like go out of my way to reconnect bridges that I thought I never needed. And one thing I work on it. I'm not easy, I'm not perfect, but you might think fuck this person forever. And listen, just don't burn bridges. Yeah. Unless it's like, there's no going back on certain situations, right? Like, there's certain bridges you never want to even go on ever again. Right. But you got to say those are really rare bridges. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it is good to keep your options. Yeah. Because like you said, like, this is, yeah, man, it's a big world, but it's not in the reptile game. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And what's crazy is like the biggest pieces of shit can somehow like still be relevant in the reptile game, no matter what they've done. They just stick it out. And that's why it's crazy, because like, really the whole cancel thing's a joke, because really to be canceled, you got to want to cancel yourself, unless you got like Kellogg's cereal or Olympics is sponsoring you or something, then okay, I get it. But like if this is like something that you're doing, like you have to be the one to tap out. You know what I'm saying?
The cancel thing in the world, I think it's over. I think it ran its course. I mean,
yeah, I got to joke because now people are bring bullying back. You know what I'm saying? Like now that's the new chant. And listen, I'm not going to do it, guys, but I'm just saying, holy shit.
Find a happy medium of just the right amount of bullying just to keep enough people in line, you know.
It's just necessary sometimes. I don't give a fuck what people say, bro. Some people, it's better than being lied to, I guess you could say, you know. I've been bullied a couple times. I've been like punked over some information that I thought I knew and I didn't, and it humbled me. Like, bro, you just got to get humbled sometimes. Actually, you got to remind yourself to stay humble in this game for sure, 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, you know, I think it applies to everything, but particularly in a field where you're dealing with animals, you know, the worst thing you can do is think you're right.
Yeah.
And when you're challenged with new information, immediately going on the defensive instead of, you know, and there's something that I've struggled with and I've tried to get better at is like, you feel that first ego hit and you're like, you want to get defensive, but like, you just got to like take that first deep breath and like sit with that, like, I fucked up or I don't know what everything I think I do. And then like collect yourself and be like, all right, now what? You know?
Yeah.
That's a make or break moment.
That was one of the hardest things for me to ever go through, like my whole life, like especially sports, right? Because I just wanted to make my dad happy. And like, you know, I was competitive. Like I just wanted to do good. So whenever I like was like broken down with criticism, like I just never took it really well. Cause I always thought I was good enough, you know, but then that was the wrong mindset. But the animal game is where I was like, hey, bro, if you listen to people, you won't go through that. Like if you find out why this happened and you don't want it to happen again, right? No. Okay. Then you're going to fucking, and that's why I embrace, like, first and foremost, like, I don't think anyone's as open as I am when it comes to like a snake rolling. Okay. And I understand why people don't, because you got a lot of people like to paint narratives. I had this one asshole, bro, because I had my 2 Miss Willies that passed away. I had the one that passed away last November, and then I had the one that just passed away not too long ago. And then I had this guy like a moron, okay, who was like one of my supporters, send a DM, like, so you know you could send stories to people, like if you want to send a story to someone, you can. Yeah. So he was trying to send that story to somebody, but he sent it to me, and he's like, bro, MJ, he's like, bro, I don't know what this guy's doing, but MJ's killing all his animals, and he sent it to me, and I was like. And then I was like, and then I just was like, bro, I know you didn't mean to send this to me. Like and then he's like, he waited a while and then he's like, oh no, I meant to send this to my wife. And I'm just being honest, man. It looks like all your animals are dying. It looks like, you know, it's just what it looks like. And I'm like, what the fuck? You like, you know, it really just made me realize I kind of get it now. Like why? Because it's a lot of people will just want to see something and just run with it and think that's what it is, which that's what this guy was doing. Like this little fucking peasant, fucking irrelevant fuck was trying to like, you know, start rumors that MJ's animals are dying to like probably people who don't even know me. Cause bro, I don't fuck with everybody. I really don't. Like I'm in my own little world. I'm a busy guy. Okay. Like there's I have 3 different folders in Instagram. Like there's the primary one, then there's the other folder, and then there are gonna be ones at the other folder I just don't even read. I just delete. I just don't got time to scroll and be like, and maybe that's a wrong thing to do, but I just delete that shit. I don't have time. If you're in that folder for a reason, it's either because you probably don't follow me or something. I don't know, but I'm good. I don't have time for that. Social media already sucks enough of my life out of my fucking day to day. You know what I mean? Sure. So anyways, all I know is like, you know, I don't think I'll ever stop being transparent about what happens, but I do got to understand, like, there are motherfuckers who are going to start talking shit. Like, and there are going to be people who are going to like, in which, you know, I already kind of expect anyways, but I do, you can say what you want about my podcast and what I say on it, but how I keep my animals, I take that personally for sure. Because it's kind of like you saying like something about my kid or even my dog. Like this is the air that I breathe. Like I fucking love these things. And I mean, I don't even just say that on this network to for the people who watch this, because they all know that, you know what I mean? So but mind you, at the end of the day, like you can't force people to stop being fucking people. You know what I mean? Another reason why to just let fake shit be fake and don't give a fuck. Because the real motherfuckers know, like you and people who've been in my house, you know what I mean? Ryan Young, Greg Maxwell, Marshall Mendez, Bill Stiegel, Socrates. I'll keep going. I'm gonna stop.
Oh, all right. No, crescendo there for a second. I was like, oh, where are we going with this? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, any of that negative noise isn't coming from somebody who was there for you to begin with.
Well, they were a Patreon member for 2 years. Pretty weird.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at least you got paid off of it, you know.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I've dealt with that before plenty of times. Who were like, I found out how certain people feel about me, and they're in my Patreon. And mind you, that this was like a lot of like during like when that shit was happening. I mean, or my family's solid now, but I'm just saying, like, that's when I realized, like, there's people paying me, but they don't like me. Like, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't believe it. So it came to a point where I started seeing screenshots of how people felt. I just started kicking people out because I'm like, I don't want your money. If this is how you feel, I don't need your $10. I appreciate a dime. Dude, I appreciate what anyone wants to do for my Patreon. Like, I really I cherish it, but low key, like, that's some fucked up, like, I don't know what to say. Mental for sure. Very strange behavior. Very, very strange behavior, dude. And if you're one of those people listening to this, I'm talking to you for sure. Very strange behavior. I will look into that. Like, professionally, I will look into that. 110%. I will look into that. And there's nothing wrong with looking into. No, I want to say there's nothing wrong with looking into, like, getting this checked out. I have. I'm just saying. Again, coming from experience, look into it.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, I would just hope that nobody spends their time intentionally doing something that upsets them, you know,
dude. But mind you, it just kind of goes down the spiral of like how fucked up some people could be, and it's like it's not our, like, we shouldn't worry about that, like because there are.
Yeah.
What can you do about it? Like, first and foremost, if I see it, I just won't allow it. That's all. Like, if you like have a certain way and you can't tell me, but you just want to pay me $10, $20 a month for some reason. Weird. Maybe because they just want to be, you know, mind you, I'm very open in the family. Like, I fucking I'll show them screenshots of shit that's about to come out and if you show me something like scrub baby wise, I let them know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very, like, you know, 4-on-1 in the Trap family. Like, they get a lot of information. So, but mind you, fuck that. If you don't support me, you're not going to be around this shit. It just doesn't compute. It just doesn't compute to me. That's it. But also, like, just kind of goes back to just staying focused, you know, like, I'm been on a huge staying focused tip and it's worked for me. Staying focused definitely helps.
Yeah. I feel like, especially where you are at in life and being a dad now and everything, you just have so much more to focus on that it probably is easier to focus on it because you don't have much of a choice, you know?
Well, yeah, first and foremost, like, I mean, it's one thing I love about Leo now is if I have some type of feeling, I just go pick them up and it all goes away. Like, like if I do feel like, oh, I kind of want to get in my emotions about this, I don't want to be emotional at all in front of my kid, period. Like, I don't want to even have a vibe where I'm upset around my son. I want to be fucking just there all the time and let's have fun. That's my thing. And he's such a cool kid, bro. Like, he's awesome. Like, I know you've seen him a little bit, man, but he's moving, he's running around now, man, and he is awesome, bro. So I do have a lot more, like, energy I need to fucking channel for sure that matters. You know what I mean? And I still struggle with that, bro. Like, I could sound like I'm preaching, like I'm doing good, but there are days where I do struggle with certain things, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's a day-to-day, it is a day-to-day thing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love all these tangents. They're great. I do kind of want to keep on the trajectory. Kind of the next thing evolution wise, I feel like, is you getting into the other rare obscure species, green trees, white lips, scrubs, olives, etc. Because when we first got connected, you already had a lot of that stuff. I'm not sure if you had the scrubs by then or not, but you definitely were doing green trees and olive pythons and short tails and stuff like that. So how did you first become familiarized with some of these more oddball species once you were already doing the ball python thing?
Well, I mean, you were definitely a huge influence on the White Lips, for sure.
Timors as well. Timors are in there.
Timor. Yeah, wait, were the Timor? I thought Timors came from Andrew. I can't remember who put me on game with the Timor. I mean, definitely the biggest reason why I started fucking dropping money on Timors was Andrew for sure. But like, you know, and I, you know, even though me and Andrew don't talk much, like I don't, or at all, period. Like I have to give credit to him. Like he was the one that like put me on game with so many other cool shit out there. And then obviously Forrest too. Like those were my two. Like it was Andrew and Forrest. Like, and then you came into the mix. And when we started doing Unfiltered Reptile podcasts, like it all just got deeper after that, like more deeper and deeper. Because here we are bringing like the best of the best and hearing them, like, you know, and I'm just like, and I remember thinking like, fuck, like I just couldn't. I remember looking at these guys like WWF superstars. Like I just fucking couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Because their knowledge was so impactful, and you know that there's so many years behind what they're saying. And again, this is why I value like what we've done for years with the podcast, because we brought in. I mean, think about, okay, there might be over 100 different reptile podcasts out there, but nobody has brought consistent heat like Unfiltered and Trap Talk and like what you've been doing every Wednesday. Like I'm talking like good quality guests that's very relevant to any reptile out there. You know what I mean? Like think about that first and foremost, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the only, to me at least, as someone who's been around,
NPR, there's NPR. I mean, obviously there's NPR and stuff like that, but like NPR, here's the thing with NPR.
You got to give a lot of credit to NPR.
I know 100, dude, and they're awesome guys, man. I finally got to meet Eric and Owen, right? Eric and Owen. And then I've also got to meet Justin Julander, which are these guys. Obviously, these are guys I now look up to. Where if you were to take it back 5 years ago, no, I hadn't. All I knew was that Forrest was my good friend, and Forrest would tell me who's who. You would tell me who's who. Okay. And I just it was kind of like how when me and Miguel became friends and I wanted nothing to do with the ball python people. Well, I treated that way with like the carpet group and all that. Like whoever had whatever going on, I was like, well, first and foremost, I'll be honest. When I tried listening to NPR, it was so like in depth about shit I had no idea about. I lost interest because, mind you, I was a new ball python keeper, and I was interested in shit. But every episode was like a deep dive on something that I just had no interest on keeping, really. Yeah. Right. And maybe I just go ahead.
But there's levels to it. You know, I feel like for a show like NPR, you need to have some level of
base. You have to have a base. You have to have a base of what.
I mean, you can get that from listening to their show. It'll take a minute though. It'll take a minute of kind of
about me. It's like somebody like myself, like I have ADD, like I'm very like I need to like get to the point type of person. I'm not the only guy like that. There's a lot of people out there who watch content who just want to get to the point. And when it came to being a noob, and for me, like, and mind you, I came across NPR after Unfiltered. I didn't know NPR even existed. And I started comparing NPR to our show, which was a completely different show, obviously. Yes, so that's why I was like, dude, we're the show to watch. Like, come on, like nobody's falling asleep during our show. You know what I mean? And that was just kind of my attitude in the beginning. But now
I will say in hindsight, you know, no, this isn't a slight to anyone else. The run we had with Unfiltered for like a year or so, I mean, I would say best podcast run in any reptile podcast ever. Like
100%. Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. We were on such a steamroll, Steven, where I didn't have time to listen to other podcasts. Like I didn't give a fuck. I was like, nobody is Unfiltered. That's all. Nobody is bringing Ed Marino on the show. You know what I mean? Like, let's be fucking real. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to just state for the record, like now, like I realize how important NPR was and still is to this current day. Like to me, bro, they're the godfathers for sure. I look at them. The reason why, like, I'm proud to make this a network is because what they've done, first and foremost. Okay, and if you want to say I took any idea about becoming a network, I took it from NPR, if anything. And I'll give them them flowers, right? But who else is doing 7 days a week?
Right, and I'll give some credits even prior to that. I mean, the original obviously was Reptile Radio. That was a little bit before my time.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they were primarily a ball python show, and then the next one was the, oh my god, I literally just had in my head. It'll come to me, but Herp Nation Radio Network. I mean, and people who are doing shows on the Herp Nation Network are still very much relevant today. Vin Russo did a show regularly. Nick Mutton did a show regularly.
Yeah, don't forget Bill and Buddy. They had the GTP Caper Radio. That was legendary.
But this is even before that. This is like 2010, 2011, 2012. Josh Beatty was Royally Addicted. He was like the second major ball python podcast. You got, Barczyk, Marcus Jane. I mean, literally everybody who was anybody in ball pythons. Ralph Davis came through that show. So there's a long lineage of reptile podcasts that any podcast can be measured up against. And of the ones that are currently going, I mean, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but NPR and then what's going on here on the Trap Network, I think that's like the gold standards of the industry right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
and listen, I don't know, man. Facts are just facts. I love hearing what I hear but I'm like, damn, I don't want to be like, I feel like we're being a little bit cocky, but no, I mean, it's just the facts. Like, and a lot of people kind of take facts like the wrong way, but they're just facts. Like, what do you want from, you know what I mean? Like there's a reason why this podcast or network has gone the way it's gone, because how much we care. Like each guest, everything we put in is fucking work. And Steven, you've been doing this for 6 months every week on a Wednesday, and you only do one show a week. It's not easy, is it? Like, it's not as easy as people may think it is.
No, I mean, I think the hardest part about it is keeping it consistently entertaining, keeping it to where someone's going to want to come back and listen week after week. Especially with how much shit there is out there these days. I mean, we're talking about like the guys who laid the groundwork for podcasts. I mean, up until COVID time, there were only a very small handful of options for reptile podcasts. And now, I mean, nobody can even be aware of all of them. There's so many. So
I will say though, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the one thing that I guess no podcast or network has done was have all of the species coming at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like mind you, NPR was like anti-ball python. Like they don't, like, you're going to get clowned if you even think about like doing that over there. Right. And then you had Snakes and the Fat Man was just all ball pythons. Like it was like just ball pythons. Right. Nobody was. And mind you, the reason why this network is diverse is because I keep all this shit, motherfuckers. Yep. You get it? You understand that I'm not putting shit out there that I don't have my own experience with. Like and again, not to sound selfish, but I did this fucking podcasting just so I could learn more. That's it. It wasn't about, let me get sponsors someday. Let me get fucking a Patreon someday. Let me get all these subscribers. No, dude, it's because I selfishly wanted to become better at keeping reptiles. And I knew that we could bring the best to just give us all that they know, which is going to help us with everything that we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's a lot deeper than, okay, you have a show and you have people. No, dude, I have people who are the best at talking about what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? Like people who are really, really into this shit. And I'm not trying to make it sound that serious, but for me, it's my life and it's serious. This is why no one's fucking with Trap Talk, because nobody takes it as serious as I do. And nobody obsesses as much as I do when it comes to Trap Talk or come to Reptile Network shit. I'm telling you right now, nobody out there, I'm unmatched. Fucking unmatched.
I'm not going to disagree. There's a reason I'm here once a week, is that I know the vision and it's the consistency and the longevity. I mean, the reason why the podcasts in the past and currently that are the most successful are that way, because they're around. These ones that we've talked about, they didn't have the shelf life that Trap Talk has had up until this point. I mean, what year right now? This time of year was right around when Unfiltered first started. That means it's probably around the 5-year anniversary of
that would be 6, buddy. 2019.
But it's 2020.
Unfiltered started in 2019. Right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, 5 years.
Wait, is that 5 years? Oh,
I'm agreeing with you. You can say we're in the 6th year. How about that? That makes it sound a little bit better.
No, but dude, you're exactly right. But the thing is, like, the passion, the fire all started how many years ago, and it just hasn't let off, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you get people who just get burnt out. You get people who just, they have a type of way, but then something happens or whatever. Dude, all the stars have aligned for me so much in the Reptile game that my energy just does not stop. And it's not going to stop. Like, I have all the support from the best people doing it in the game, backing up Trap Talk. I have Stephen Kush every Wednesday. Like, I don't have time to not have good energy, bro. Like, and it's a good feeling. Dude, I fucking love my life, bro. You know, I love my life. I fucking love my life, man. And you know how many people could say that right now? You know how many people could say that? And that's another reason too. Like, if you have someone who's really fucking hard on about you for some reason, dude, don't take it personal. Just understand that there's some people out there who have some fucked up lives. You know what I mean? And Steven, we all had a life that wasn't as good as it was at, you know, we've all been through some shit, right? So we've all, listen, people go through some shit, man. You never know what somebody's going through out there. So that's another reason why I got to remind myself, like, yo, don't even entertain that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck. Like, if you think about the individual, and I'm not shy to say it because I got no issue with the person, but I could have avoided the whole cancel thing if I would have never fucking went after Sean Bradley. You know that? If I would have just never fucked with that, I would have been good. Crazy, right?
Yep.
Insane. Hey, by the way, shout out to Sean Bradley. I got no issue with you. But holy shit, bro. I'm just saying, there's just some people out there you don't want to fuck with, okay? And I learned that the hard way. I really did. But you know, but I got no regrets either, bro. Like, come on, it's I you know, I got so many stories now. Like, this is gonna be an epic podcast, like, for sure. Like, this will be a rewatch. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, we may not have 100 viewers, but this will be a rewatched episode for sure. A lot.
Well, and I think one of the things that you can point back to is that I feel like that was kind of the precipice for the network and for the change of direction. I almost feel like if that didn't happen, I don't even know if we would be sitting here right now doing this podcast. You know, I almost feel like that was kind of like the dam had to break open for the change to happen that needed to happen.
Yeah, you're right, because it really evolved everything. Like, because once I started like realizing what it was I needed to fine tune, right? And all I had to do is just keep it about the animals, man. Like, that's it. Like, don't fucking like, and there's a time and place. Something bad happens, talk about it, but don't keep it about a person. Don't keep going about like, just keep it about the animals, right? And the only time I ever now go in, right, as far as on somebody, is if it's a fucking animal neglector or abuser, or like, you know, something that is just so terrible for this hobby and it gets me upset. Then I'll talk about it, right? But other than that, like, you know, I just don't like, and I'm also nobody to like individually go after people because I got my own issues, bro. Let's be real. I got my own issues. You know what I'm saying? And when you got your own issues like MJ, you guys should just worry about these issues. Don't worry about nobody else. And so I got like reminders, you know, and again, this is why I love the Reptile game, because everything I do now was stuff I learned. Like, Steven, I'll never forget like how much you were so non-confrontational that I was like, I need to like, I remember like you being a type of way when you were 17. Okay. You're 17 years old. And here I am already in my 30s. And I'm like, why isn't this guy getting all hyped up? He's just being like, and I'm like, well, maybe he's telling you something here. Like, maybe because he has a name in the Reptile game and he just doesn't want to shit on it by shitting on people. Like, and mind you, like, I didn't care because I didn't really have a name back then. So, but like, it made me realize like, bro, like there's a time and a place. Right. And so, yeah, dude, fine tuning's everything. And you're right. If that needed to happen for this to evolve, and it sure has. It sure has. Very happy.
Yeah. And it also gets to the point where like you really have to realize that you're truly just in control of your own actions, but then the consequences that they can bring you. And, you know, whether or not a conflict with somebody, you know, is so extreme to the point where like it has to end a friendship or end a business relationship or whatever, you know, that can manifest itself a handful of different ways. You know, that doesn't need to be, it can even be where the other person doesn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just kind of protecting your own energy, your own well-being, and, you know, just also realizing that at the end of the day, this is a business as well. And the more bridges that can be available to you, the better. So, you know, I mean, it's not, we're not in high school or whatever. And it feels like it a lot of times, but you know, telling someone to go fuck themselves in high school isn't going to have the potential ramifications that telling someone to go fuck themselves in this industry could for your future in it. And that's where it's also like, okay, what's your focus as far as like balancing the business to personal engagement in this field? Because there are plenty of people who have reputations of being that instigator, you know, type person, and there's always that asterisk on their name. They always had that stink on them. You might even be a good person, and you just don't know, you don't understand the situation because you weren't involved, but they're going to have that stink on them. You might not want to do business with them. You might not want to engage in having a friendship with them, you know, just based on a perception you have based on the word of other people. I don't want anyone to think that way of me. You know, I don't want anyone to be like, I've heard things. I don't know if they're true, they're real or not, but just, I don't want to be a part of it. So I'm not going to involve myself. And truly, you can't really blame that person in that scenario for keeping to themselves, you know?
Well, perception is everything first and foremost. And like, you know, one thing about this hobby, like people will listen to the word of mouth. Like they will just be like, well, I heard that, I'm not even going to go there. And that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Like that, if you think that person is down to cut you off based on what they heard, how about the 50 other people that they told? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, you're totally right on that. And that's another thing I learned too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though there's certain things you don't want to have to bite bullet wise, like it's just better off, you know, like it's for the long run, because it's better to do something that you feel like maybe you shouldn't have to do, but at least there's no dirt on, like no dirty receipts whatsoever, or anything that anyone can even bitch about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and another thing with the way that the community is moving these days, you know, like Barczyk was a perfect example of where, you know, there was a time where he didn't feel like he could pull up to a Tinley Park and his physical well-being would be intact.
Over 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, and I was around before, during, and after. I saw every stage of how that situation evolved. And, you know, I would have to assume for many, especially at the time, for many people who were not Brian, if they were kind of ousted from the show circuit, they're fucked, because that's where business gets done. And now, especially with, you know, the way that the internet has taken over and how most shows have become obsolete, you don't need to associate with those people in person if you don't want to be completely successful, run your business. I don't think that's a good thing, but you can anyone can fully do that now. And I think that is a kind of a way you can create some separation, because if you can just put your phone down and walk into another room, and now all those problems are gone. You know,
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I mean, I think I'll obviously be back before then, but I remember the last Tinley I went, I was over it. I was really over it. Like I was kind of like, I told myself, I was like, and maybe because of the situation and where that last March was in 2023, but I just remember like what I'm doing right now, what I'm doing with the network, even though it's good to network at the Tinley shows, I don't need to come to Tinley. Why the fuck do I need to come to Tinley? Like, it's not gonna, like, it's not like I come to Tinley and I get a fucking like you know, my views go out through the window. No, like so. And so what I'm saying is, like, if I don't feel like I want to go to Tinley, I won't go to Tinley. Like, I'm not going to feel like I have to force myself. And now and after feeling that type of way, I understood why Barczyk decided not to go to Tinley for so many years. Because why? Look what he was doing the whole time. That motherfucker's too busy. You know, and what I mean by busy, like headspace busy. Like he's keeping his mental state where it needs to be, not to be around a bunch of fucking fake fucks. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it comes down to. He didn't want to see all the fake smiles that people give you. Like, you know, because he told me this for his fucking self. How many people that he's seen firsthand just shred him in comments or shred him in like private messages, but then just want to give him hugs and shake his hand when it's in person. You know what I mean? So that's why I understood. And mind you, like I was kind of fragile because I knew Barczyk was checking out and I couldn't let that go. You know, I was like thinking like, and mind you, all the fucking fake fucks like putting YouTube videos on him like after he passed that, and when I knew they didn't fuck with him, you know what I mean? So I had some type of feeling, I had some type of way for sure where I almost told myself I don't want to go to a Tinley for a long time. Like I almost want to pull Barczyk and dip out for like 10 years and just fucking and just kill it with the network where I just don't want to go, you know. But no, it's honestly like I have a lot of good memories at Tinley, and that's one thing I will never forget is like the bar, the dinners. You know, you meet some of the best people in the world at a Tinley, and so you know, again, that's going back to me letting go of the fake shit. Who gives a fuck? Like, when I'm good at just putting a smile on my face now and just be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Like, I'm a lot better at that now. And and mind you, and I do want, you know, I want to see you at a Tinley. I want to see Greg Maxwell at Tinley's. I want to see Gary at Tinley's. I want to see, you know, whoever, bro. You know how many goats go to Tinley's, bro? A lot of fucking heavy hitters go to Tinley's. So, I don't know where we're going with that. I don't know why, you know, I don't even know how Tinley got brought up, but anyways.
Well, it's not a necessary part of what we do anymore.
Right. Yeah. You know,
you don't need to associate if you don't want to.
Yeah. And here's another example, right? Like, as soon as I got into the position in this game to start going to shows, guess who stopped going to shows?
Who?
And he was the one that put me on all the shows. Miguel. He stopped. He just completely stopped, you know? And I know his reasoning behind it. You know what I mean? Which it matches very closely to Barczyk's. Same shit.
You can't blame him. You really
can't blame him. Like, what's the point of going and dealing with some fucking fake ass money? Like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that there's better times than dealing with those fake fucks. Smile at them, but worry about the steak dinners. I mean, come on, bro. We eat good at Tinley's. Tinley's a good time.
Yeah, and you know, there's a multitude of ways of how you can do a reptile show. And I mean, you know, I haven't been to Tinley in a while now, and you know that it sucks for me because that was my childhood show. I live 45 minutes from Tinley Park. I was my first Tinley. I was 10 years old. But you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows at those shows, and you know, it's just from.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, I guess. And this is I won't even necessarily say Tinley because I don't want it to be a connotation of this show, but reptile shows in general. Mm-hmm. If you have a daughter, a wife, a girlfriend, a woman you care about, you know, don't let them leave your site at a Tinley or a.
Oh, you're talking about the perverted shit, yeah. Dude,
you know.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Well, first and foremost, I'm not a girl, and it's like I'm more of aware. I'm not saying girls aren't aware. But girls are definitely more vulnerable of getting fucking weird shit happen to them at reptile shows. I don't like that shit, man. I really don't.
I mean, it truly happens at almost every major reptile show in the country.
Yeah, it's gross. It's pretty gross.
And you know, that's why for me, and like especially for me now, like if I'm at a show with Brooke, we're not going to the bar. Yeah. We're not doing the fucking auction. Yeah. We're seeing the animals, talking to people we want to, and then we're hanging out with people we want to afterward.
You're saying the US ARC auctions aren't safe?
I mean, I was there when a guy 5 feet away from me collapsed, had to be taken out of by paramedics because, as we found out later, someone overdosed a drink with methamphetamine that was meant for the girl sitting next to him. He got the drink accidentally, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon was like dying in front of us. Hundreds of people saw it, and now we all know who the person was, and he did a lot of other bad things to people. And
the date rape guy, weird dude.
Which one?
The ginger guy with the cowboy hat, the dirty fuck.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I didn't like that guy. I never liked that. I almost beat that dude's ass out of Tinley one time. I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's always going to be the next one, and the unfortunate thing is that a lot of these people, and this is now I'm finally getting to where you're like, let's you know, Steven, talk about some crazier stuff. You know, a lot of these guys, not a lot, more people at reptile shows than at any other normal event will have spent the other 360 days of their year in their house being weirdos, and they're just not good people, and they don't feel bad about doing terrible things. So, there's just an extra layer of caution that needs to be taken. I mean, by truly anybody. As of now, I think all the victims have been women, but it's real, and like you can't deny that it happens all the time. And if you don't, I know multiple people who have been the victims of this, and unfortunately, they haven't really been supported by the community at large. So bad luck on the community. I mean, there was an event over last weekend that a notorious rapist was hanging out with everybody, and we're all okay with it.
Wait, hold on. What was last week's event? Are we talking about? It wasn't NARBC, was it?
Adjacent.
Wait a minute.
It wasn't a real reptile show. It was everything that's wrong with the industry wrapped up into a weekend.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but and then a lot of people know this too, but it's not well known, and these people are protected by people who run the events. So, it's hard to have confidence going into something like that when you kind of know how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Well, I'm pretty sure sausages are safe and other private parts are safe at a trap fest. I can tell you that much. So if you want to go to a reptile gathering where you don't have to worry about any of this funky shit, you just want to have a good time, listen to music, talk to Stephen Kush, come to Trap Fest. Trap Fest is a good time. And I will say, dude, the Reptile Super Show is a fun time too. But I guess not go to the auction.
Well, I mean,
dude, Steven, this is gonna okay. I just let you know you're opening up a fucking door that's gonna have to like, I don't know, man. I'm just saying this is gonna have to be addressed at some point, like thoroughly, at some point, because this is heavy.
Well,
and I'm very against like women getting taken advantage or anyone first and foremost. But like I told you, my past with my sisters and shit, what I've dealt with and what I've witnessed, and I don't like that shit, bro. Like I have some type of way when I see this type of stuff, and I do think it's grimy, it's disgusting. But when you have so many bigger people not supporting it, dude, it kind of makes it irrelevant. It sucks.
The problem is, it's really the fault of the old guard of the industry, and it's the same people who look the other way for people like Jay Brewer. It's those people.
I haven't said that guy's name on this show in a long time.
Well,
wasn't me.
It wasn't you. But like it's the same people that just enable the good old boys club. And unfortunately, it might just be a matter of that, just the baton being passed with time, if you can read between the lines of what that means. Like, what are you really going to do? What are you really going to do when the people involved in charge are complicit?
Yeah.
And whether and complicit or not, just not holding people accountable. And I think that a big issue in this industry is, and it a little bit is contradictory to what I said earlier about not burning bridges and whatnot, but lots of people will play the middle on a serious situation just to not have to be in a conflict over a personal thing. And
damn, yeah,
unfortunately, that doesn't really, there's nothing good that can come of that.
Yeah.
And then in the long run, there's probably gonna be a lot of remorse over certain things when, time goes on, more things come to light. And now you're like, oh, wow, I was defending this person for so long and they are a monster. Like I'm, and I've known people and been close to people that now looking back, I'm like, wow, if I had known, if I'd only known, and you can't fault anybody, you can't fault everybody because, everyone in this industry is very good at putting a good face forward. And especially like the worst of the worst people. I mean, take like Samson Pruitt, for instance. Yeah. He's beloved by his people, or like the guy who got bitten by the taipan.
F1 literally has support. Has a support group. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, what can you really do about something like that?
No, you can't.
You just have to wait for it to eventually go away and just not give it, not blow on the flame. Like you really can't do much. I want to hit a couple questions before I go away with Lisa. First of all, and I, with all this said, I think Tinley is 100% worth going to. I think at this point, the three shows in the country that are worth going to: Tinley Park, Daytona, Pomona, or Anaheim as well. I think those are the only shows in the country that are worth going to, and Tinley is the best of the three. So it's the best show in the country. It always has been. It probably always will be, unless something crazy else pops up, which I doubt will.
I'm gonna stop Steven and just say Reptile Super Show is the best show.
Sorry.
And Tinley's cool too.
Reptile Super Show. My bad. Shout out Reptile Super Show.
Shout to Rami. Dude, nobody throws a more organized fucking show like that guy does. Okay,
I'll give him that. Yeah, this is
real. He's the man. That's the man right there.
It's just my childhood. It's
I got you. I get it. It's your home. That's your home turf, and I get it. You have a lot more, But that Reptile that's my home turf, so we're good.
Yeah, but that was on my short list of 3 was the Reptile Super Show, and I gave them 2 of their shows. I didn't even give NARBC all of their shows. I just gave them 1. Yeah. So, and then on this one, unfortunately, before someone innocent gets hurt, it's done. We're past the threshold. It's been happening routinely. So it's, unfortunately we lost it. So fall or spring show, Lisa, I would say fall show. They're both good, but the fall show is probably the one to go to. So yeah. And then here, Brooke is here to cover for all of my mistakes.
Hi, Brooke. I love Brooke.
I will say Reptile Super Show, she is right. Better variety of species than
Trap Fest. That's why Trap Fest, same week as Reptile Super Show. You can't get that double banger pause. I'm just saying you cannot top that, bro. That week is such a heavy week. By the way, I'm never vending. I will never vend August. I can't say never, but right now, like doing a Trap Fest and then going right into the Super Show to vend, it's like a death wish. It's seriously suicide. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna vend one time a year. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Don't quote me on that, Rami. Don't give my shit away, please. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see all of this get better and be to a point where we can be proud of it, proud of the face of the industry, and like I said on my solo show a couple weeks ago, like I'd love to see 90 to 95% of the shows in the country get canceled, and let's just collectively focus on a few shows. And it's easier said than done, especially because there are people who make their living off of promoting these shows and whatnot. But it would be better that way. I think, I haven't really been like excited to go to a show for a long time, for the show itself, for like what the animals that are going to be there, for seeing people and hanging out and all that. That's a completely different story. Yeah. Especially with the Cali shows these days. So, that's kind of, there are two aspects to the reptile shows.
What's Papa Ken talking about? Sewer Fest.
Yeah, so Sewer Fest. Yeah, it's a show in Wisconsin. Actually, for a small scale show back when I used to go to it, they actually did a very good job.
Sounds like a shit show.
Well, I can't say the name was the most appealing, but
okay.
There was some cool stuff there. But yeah, shit, we went down kind of a dark tangent for a second there. That's
yeah, I'm glad we pulled out of it.
Yeah, anyway. So another question that I've had on the back burner for a minute. What was the inspiration to start the podcast? Because you had the YouTube channel first and you're kind of doing like vlog style content.
Yeah.
Was the podcast an idea from jump, or how did that evolve?
it all started when I got invited to go on a podcast, and it was Reptiles Unplugged. That's the name. That was the name of the podcast. And shout out to the guys, man. I'm still good friends with Joel, State 48 Exotics, and then another guy named Adam. He used to go by Beach Bum Exotics. Really cool guy too. But he went out and he got out of the ball python game and started like doing started breeding a certain species of I forget what he does, like show dogs type stuff. But anyways, they brought me on a show, and I was real excited. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like fucking so nervous and like, you know, typical, like, you know, how you feel when you go on a podcast for the first time. It was like,
sure.
I couldn't believe it. I was so happy that they invited me. Right. But then they gave me rules, and I was like, they're like, first you can't smoke. And they're like, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. But they're like, you can't cuss either. I'm like, I can't cuss. They're like, you can't cuss. And I'm like, all right. I was like,
to be on board.
Well, mind you too, like the ball python game back then was still very like, you know, you keep it, you know, perfect. You know, nobody was really off the walls, you know, with ball pythons, especially like putting content out there. And now that I think about it,
the ball python podcast that preceded you.
Say what?
Do you remember the ball python podcast that preceded you?
What?
Ball shit podcast.
Oh,
shit been off the walls for a while.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're right, but then I didn't know. I had no idea what bullshit was back then. You know? And I took everything what I was seeing from them as like the example, right?
Sure.
So,
okay.
And so I'm just like, you know, so we did the podcast and we were talking about some funny stuff. And I think like probably like 20 minutes into the podcast, I'm like, I need to do my own show because I could cuss. Like I was like, if these guys are worried, I'm not worried. Like I was like, I'll do something where I only want to bring adults in. Like I don't want the kids. Like this is for the grown-ups. You know what I mean? Who cares? Like, and so that was an instant thing. But then I didn't have the balls because I'm like, who the fuck am I to like it was an idea, but then I was like, you all right? You good? Yeah.
There's a snake that caught my eye.
Yeah, it was an idea. But I was like, I don't know how to fulfill it because I'm like 2 years into keeping ball pythons. And I think I've had like 1 or 2 clutches, but like even I was like not comfortable trying to be something to talk about something I was not really that experienced on. And then I met Forrest. Might already maybe knew Forrest, but then when I met Forrest, he liked how I was. And I was like, and he told me how, and Forrest was definitely the first person who even thought the idea of a podcast, but he didn't have the balls to do it because he was worried about what he was going to say. And I told him, I'm like, bro, why don't you be the host that knows what the fuck they're saying? And then I'll kind of like live through you, but just be fucking myself and I'll call shit out. And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Cause he was like all about like, he wanted it to be educational, but he wanted it to be like controversial too. Like he wanted it like, you know, he even thought, I think even back then, like we were thinking about how many people didn't fuck with Joe and we wanted to bring Joe and someone else on, you know what I mean? Like that was the things we were thinking about, but like, he wanted me to be the bad guy basically. Like, and so, and then it makes, you know, looking back, it all makes sense why he fucking invested so much into me back then, you know, like I get it now. But anyway, so that was it. And then what motivated me to do Trap Talk was how both you fuckers said no ball python people. Remember, you're like, that was Forrest's rule. Like, we're not bringing on, unless it was Miguel. He was down to bring Miguel on to talk about the money part because he said that nobody is making a living off ball pythons. He's like, that's bullshit. It's cap. And I would tell him, like, bro, Miguel's fucking killing. He's like, he's lying. He's not showing you true statements. And Miguel was willing to come on the show and show his PayPal transactions. And but Forrest never wanted, like, Miguel was down. I'll never forget. But Forrest was the one that wasn't down. And so and mind you, back then, dude, all my friends or people that I knew were ball python people. Like that was that was my community, was the ball python people. And which also makes sense why I didn't care about NPR or like nobody else.
A few times though. I mean, with Brian, with Brian or with Dave, there were episodes that ball pythons.
Barcheck's not a come on, bro. I mean, I get ball pythons. No, I get it, but come on, Barcheck was more than ball python when we brought him on. He was a fucking goddamn.
Oh yeah.
He was a titan. He was a titan in the ball python game. Yeah. It's a titan in the reptile game. You know what I mean? Like he was like a one-off. And Dave Levison, another one-off. Are you kidding me? Like Dave, it doesn't. Yeah. You can't put a category on Dave. You really can't.
Both were very well worth it. Guess, but
you know. Other than that, no ball python people. You just you guys
true.
did not want them. Don't be Mr. like, oh, we want no. You guys gave me strict no. It's not happening. Okay, and so
I don't remember, but I definitely believe you.
So once I felt that energy, I was like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna do a show where I can bring all ball python people on because that's all I know. And mind you, I still wanted to learn more from ball pythons. And so that's when I started Trap Talk, because my room was called the Trap because it was the snake trap
sessions. Was it the first snake trap sessions?
Yeah. So the original name for the trap was called the Snake Trap. I named it the Snake Trap, and then I started a YouTube channel called the Snake Trap Sessions, which was this channel originally, the Snake Trap Sessions. And I started putting out vlogs a little bit. I did like 3 or 4 vlogs under this channel. And that's when I turned it into the Snake Trap Sessions. That's when I turned it into the Trap Talk with MJ. That's when I turned the podcast Snake Trap Session. It was called Trap Talk with MJ.
So it was that from day one?
There was that from day one.
Oh, so I thought it was a Snake Trap Sessions first.
No,
okay.
No.
Got it.
It was Trap Talk with MJ and homies. And then it went to Trap Talk with MJ and then whoever the guest was.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to like fucking really come out the gates and come weekly and like, you know, because everyone else is like once a month or whatever, but I was coming out weekly off the gate, bro. And this is before anyone else, man. Like this is fucking right when COVID hit too, bro. Oh, that was the best years for Trap Talk as far as like audience goes, like killing it. It was amazing. It was fun. You know what I mean? And it still is fun. And I just want people to know out there too. Like you look at a lot of YouTube content, like YouTube vlogs, right? And you got a lot of people who do shit for the views. I never once do one podcast or anything in this shit for money because I don't get paid money off YouTube. YouTube does not pay anything for me. I'm telling you, I can't say anything, but it's not about like for what I do on this. What matters for me is people 10 years from now will be listening to this shit because people come to this because they want the same reason why I started this. They want to learn. They want to hear shit. And I got to tell you, bro, so many Trap Talk episodes are replayed because people just go back and the catalog, bro, there are over 500 fucking episodes. You kidding me? Not even including the episodes that you guys are dropping. That's just what I've done. You know what I'm saying? So, dude, this is just I feel like I'm creating like a video, like a library. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because I get support from sponsors and other things where I don't look at this shit for the views at all, bro. I just want the best content to be locked up in the vault and for people to have, you know, because the best thing on earth, Steven, I know you get this too, is when you go to shows and people come tell you like what episode they learned from that changed everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know you've gotten that. I know you've gotten that multiple times. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's the best thing. What makes everything, bro. Like I love that we do something where it's not sensational. Like I don't need it. Like other than me being MJ, which is kind of sensational, right? But like I don't need to get bit by a snake. I don't need to handle a cobra. I don't need to do any of this like shit that people feel like they have to do. Well, they kind of almost have to now because think about like why Skinny Jean Brewer is Skinny Jean Brewer. That's the money. That's income. Sensational pays the guy, and that's his department. I'm so glad that's not our department. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And it won't be our department. I'm good. I'm good on that shit.
Yeah. And just there's no library to be had of that nonsense. You know, you're not going to look back in 20 years and be proud of that.
Well, okay, let's say, okay. How many, okay, you got 1 million views. How many of the 1 million people think you're a fucking clown and a joke and they just like to see you get hurt or something? You know what I mean? Like
people even remember they watched the video.
Exact. I mean, well, dude, trust me. People know, my family know who Skinny Jeans Brewer is, all because of TikToks and shit. Because it's out there, you know what I mean?
Not for a good reason. They didn't learn anything.
Not for a good reason. That's what I'm saying.
Their life wasn't enriched. It was like,
yeah, just like that.
Exactly.
No, but and also too, dude, I don't want to be reminded, like, dude, you remember that? Like, remember what the stuff you used to do with the stuff? Like, dude, that's like, mind you, like, people love Barcheck, but a lot of people never forgot the shit that he used to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that stuck with him, even though I don't look at him like that. Like he's my fucking God, I just love the guy. But like there's people who would always remind me of shit that they couldn't let go of because of the little shit that he did or like whatever. You know what I mean? But mind you, dude, Barcheck taking the fucking alligator to Petco, even you got mad at that one. You know what I mean? Like but mind you, that's his department, bro. Like that's his game, that's his realm. Could it be us? No, I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't. Like mind you, I have shit, bro, that I could definitely like do viral shit with. Like I think you do too. Obviously, we both do. But it's like it's so like
I have 100 mistakes here. You think I couldn't go viral if I wanted to?
Right. I just don't have that in me, bro. Like I mean, maybe like if I did, I could go further, but I don't want to go down that route, bro. Like I like keeping it just like like what we're doing here because it attracts people who want to work with animals the way we work with animals, like the way we want to like.
Longevity. I mean, very little
longevity, bro.
By a million, by a TikTok that gets 1 million views or something. You know, whatever it is. I don't know.
And there's nothing against it. And listen, do your thing, bro, because some of that content is work and good luck. But I got different goals. That's all. And everyone has their own missions in life, and that's just. That sensational stuff just isn't it for me at all. No, it's not. Yeah. Nope. Even with kids too, like dude, like the whole getting kids involved, like that irritates me too a lot. Like I would never. I mean, unless Leo's begging me, which I doubt he's gonna beg me for an Instagram account at 5. Holy shit! And he better not. I'll tell you that much. I'll get mad at myself if my kid wants an IG account at 5. I'm gonna be really upset. I don't want him to be like that at all. I don't.
And the thing with the kids thing that makes it even more dangerous is that's like cannon fodder for animal rights groups.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
to have a situation that could be interpreted as child endangerment is like they froth at the mouth at something like that.
Even if it's not, it's perception.
It is sometimes, you know.
I mean, I get it. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Particular video recently that I saw that was just, I'm not going to go into details, but it was a kid interacting with a snake in a way that was just like, it was a non-venomous snake, but one that could hospitalize the kid. And there were multiple points in the video where that snake was ready to hospitalize that kid. And I'm just there like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've seen in so long. Like,
can I ask you what type of snake it was? I don't need to know the kid. I just want to know what type of snake it was.
I cannot, but I will say it's a snake that's in your room. So.
Oh, so it's not a Bolin's. Okay. All right.
It's not a Bolin's. No, it's not a Bolin's. Okay. So yeah, like again, I don't want to start anything about that, but I think some people, yeah. But like, you know, the kid's fine, cool, good. You know, you trust your snake. All right. But like your understanding as the creator of that video, that's only yours and nobody else who's watching it. And I mean, that could be interpreted the same way that someone could like look at a video of a kid like running around with a pistol or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. People look at these things a lot differently. You know what I mean? And not everyone. And even with dogs, bro, even when people like hate pit bulls, like they see a pit bull and they fucking run. And they'll I've had a lady scream at the park one time when I brought Capone. You know what I mean? And she just thought it was like this dog was going to kill every other dog in the park. Yeah. But like you can't control how people feel about certain things. That's what I'm saying.
Right. And whether or not the reality lines up with their perception, it doesn't change their perception. And the perception of the uninformed person will probably go further than your perception. So, and it'll probably be shared by many more people. So, you know, that particular video I'm referencing, I'm like, that's like the first thing that PETA is going to show some legislator about, like, look at these reckless idiots with these snakes endangering children.
Let me ask you a question, Steven. And again, we're not getting into details of what post this was, but in that post, were there a lot of comments?
Oh, probably.
But mind you, like whenever there is a lot of comments, 99.9% are so negative. Like it's so like especially if it's a viral video. Like let's say it's a video that has millions of views. There are so many people in there either saying something really fucked up or they're legit scared for their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't leave a good imprint, is what I'm saying. Like for the majority of that million.
Yeah, and I have a friend who she lives in Europe, but she has a friend there who works in government in kind of like the whatever organization monitors legislation of animals, and like she said that there are people who are working for these animal rights organizations who their full-time job is just to scour social media and get like screen grabs of comment sections and stuff where it it reflects poorly on the people who own animals.
Basically building a case, like
Yeah, and
yeah.
but like off of stuff like Instagram comments. So for you to think, and that's part of like what my podcast about the free handling was like, if you're somebody who disagrees with something or whatever, your comment trying to plead your case will just directly work towards the destruction of the industry. Like,
yeah,
those comment sections are going to be the death of us, and you wouldn't even think of it. You wouldn't even think of that as being something that could potentially be that detrimental.
If
But
you really want to go down the whole path of thinking how fucked up things are in this reptile world, just think about the free handling community out there. Okay, that right there is some really like that guy Jeff's type of community, right? People who think like that lifestyle is encouraged and like, oh, you're a god. I saw a comment, somebody call him a god because he got bit. Like, what the fuck? Seriously? And mind you, Facebook, bro, is where I saw a lot of these free handler community.
Oh yeah, it's all Facebook.
Oh my god, bro. I could not believe the shit that Cody got, man. And mind you, I know Cody fucking went in the kid, but dude, holy shit. I didn't know it was that deep. I didn't know. It's deep, bro. There's some trailer fucking honkies out there that are die hard about picking up anything venomous with their hands, with their teeth, kissing it, multiple ones. Fucking like, bro, dude, it is nuts. Like, that is nuts. It's insane. It's almost too much to think about. It's almost like why I don't watch certain things on YouTube, like, you know, like the war and fucking, which is fucked up, but like the war in the middle of Israel and fucking Palestine, Palestine, like it's fucked up. There's not much I could do about it. I don't want to see it. It's fucked up. Yeah. That's how I look at the free handling community, bro. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's here. It's been here.
It's not leaving ever.
Not going anywhere. The people who partake keep changing. New ones show up. They go away for one reason or another. It's always going to be there. And
okay, what? So it's been about longer than that. We've known each other for a good handful of years now. But
probably 7 or 8 years now.
So 7 years ago, whoever the fucking main free handler fucking douches were, there's new generations of those now. Like, we have now evolved, and now there's a younger generation group so it's never gonna stop, bro. It's because of social media. People are looking at this stuff and they're like, I could do that. I could do that. And then they realize they do that and how many people hate it, and they go, well, fuck these guys. And then they find the people that, hey, come over here, man. We do that shit. That's exactly how it works. Yeah. Oh man, it's nuts. But it's so, I mean, listen, that's why, and it's crazy, bro, because like I'm friends with Tyler Nolan, okay? And I know Tyler is in the category of this, but like I think the guy's born to do the wild shit that he does. Like I don't think Tyler Nolan is praying that there are more Tyler Nolans out there. I don't think that's like his goal. But at the end of the day, the guy is put on earth to do what he does. And I think that's like the case for some free handlers. Okay. And I'm not saying like, I'm just kind of telling you, like, I feel like I'm hypocritical with some people. And I feel like, dude, that's just his lifestyle. Like somebody who jumps out of the fucking airplane, or a freestyle motocross rider, or something who's like, dude, that's fucking nuts. But I get it. You love it. Like,
you smoke crap.
Wow, dude.
Well, it's the same kind of dopamine hit, you know.
You're right.
I don't know. I've never smoked crack.
Well,
so
listen, mind you, because you remember when I owned a venomous snake, I owned a rattlesnake. Remember, I owned a Pacific speckled rattlesnake named Amino Acid. Okay, and I sent you videos of me holding. Remember, I just sent videos of me holding her. Remember that? I used to send it to Force. Force used to get so mad at me, and mind you, I would just send it to Force. I wouldn't post it. But he'd be like, dude, stop doing that. And mind you, like Forrest was somebody I would listen to. And when I would think it would be cool, he would tell me like, bro, don't do that. Like I remember Forrest was the reason I stopped posting live feeding videos too. He helped me stop posting live feeding videos, and he told me to stop fucking handling my rattlesnake. It's not cool. And then when I realized I couldn't stop handling it, that's when I got rid of it. Like a fucking like a grown ass man. Well, actually it was my wife Lily. She kept coming in like. The more she kept coming in, like, and realizing I still had it, it just got worse and worse. And so, yeah, I ended up giving it to Miguel. Miguel still has it to this day.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So
Anyway.
this is exactly the point. You know, if
Yeah,
you're gonna,
and I did it. Listen, but mind you, like, bro, I felt that rush. That rush was fucking nuts. Like, it was like,
dude, like I said in my show, I've done it.
it's nuts.
I've,
It's nuts.
and it's I mean, especially there were two very different types of snakes. But the first time I free handled a venomous snake, like probably the biggest rush I've had in my entire life.
Yeah.
Of any sorts. And
I mean, it was such a rush where I felt like it didn't need to be on video, even though I kind of was. But I was like, I wanted to keep this shit so private. Like yeah.
But for me, like once the snake was no longer in my hands, and like my adrenaline kind of calmed down, I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck did I just do?
That was stupid. Yeah, that was stupid.
Like, why did I put myself in that situation? But not everyone has that. Not everyone's synapses fire that way, and it's just a matter of who you are. It's not a good or a bad thing innately. It doesn't make you a good person or a bad person if your brain seeks those rushes in different ways and recognizes fear differently. It's just we all have our different chemical makeups, but
I just know Florida people got some crazy mentors, and there's some legendary like handlers out there, I guess, that put some really crazy like motivational into some people. But like that's why like almost categorize Florida as like, even though Florida is a huge big part of this problem, I look at them like their own little like, I don't say it's okay, but I'm just like, oh my god, Florida's like, you ain't gonna change a Florida person, bro. Whatever that guy is in Florida is gonna be that for life. Florida people are different, bro. They're so different. Oh my god, you ain't gonna change a Florida person.
No, you're not. And that's the thing. We're not going to change anybody, and nor should we want to.
No, right. They should want to do it on their own. It's kind of like, right. I agree.
Yeah, and that was kind of my whole point with that, is like, and kind of like we were, tie back to earlier, just like you can control yourself, you can control how you react to things, you can control how you interface with others. It's all you got. And unfortunately, like what we saw with the instance with Cody, like trying to be the morality police backfires almost every single time.
Yeah, but he did it. He attacked his like the features of the guy, even though like it was pretty funny, but still, like it's like that was the piece of ammunition that they had to fucking go ballistic on him.
Yeah, but dude, I wouldn't want to be the subject of a comment thread that had 400 comments on it or whatever. That would suck.
Yeah,
it'd be fucking terrible. So
I've been that guy for sure.
Yeah, I feel for people who have good intentions and wish that things were idealistic, because they're just not, and they're not going to be. And you have to come to some amount of peace with that. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. And this is not necessarily completely relating to that situation, but just in general. And, it's very true with what we do, especially considering with our animals and everything. Emotions run far higher than in some other situation. If we were dealing with cars or guns or some thing that is just an inanimate object, I feel like one can't be quite as emotional about their guns as they can be about their animals.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's all a lot. It's a lot. But and unfortunately, conversations like this need to happen, just to get the perspective out there, because there really are very few middle ground perspectives that are shared within the reptile community. It's all very much one or another, tribalistic. You're with us or you're against us. It's definitely like that. There's few people who bridge gaps and whatnot. So,
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Should we judge people who don't have? Oops. Should we be judging people who don't support U.S. ARC?
I don't think so.
And can you tell me why? Like why you shouldn't be judging someone who chooses not to support U.S. ARC?
I mean, and this is coming from me, somebody who does. Why would you feel the need to spend that kind of energy to try to control the way that somebody else decides to operate? I mean, you're not hurting anybody. You're, and there's definitely there's many different aspects to the conversation that can be had. It's not a one-sided argument, but I think anyone who has some sort of stance, they probably have a reason for it. Whether it's a good reason or a bad reason, they probably have a reason for having a certain opinion. And I'm just not one to feel like I need to tell somebody how to feel, especially when it doesn't, like, if their opinion is we should, the only good snake is a dead snake or something like that. Like if it's an opinion that's like, okay, this is quite clearly extreme and hurt, it's going to hurt people or things. Okay, that's one thing. But a keeper who just decides not to support US ARC, that's not really going to hurt anybody. Would the cause be stronger with one more person? Yeah, sure. But it'll certainly be hurt by any sort of public dialogue that could go down about why this is the case. I think that emphasizing that and putting it in a public platform probably could be the absolute worst thing you could do in a scenario like that. So, but like back when everyone was saying, like, you need to show your US ARC membership to get into a reptile show and to this and to that. I'm like, I mean, okay, it kind of goes against, on a very basic level, like what we're about as like a country. And, it's like, if you're supportive of like having vaccine passports for getting on an airplane or something like that, or, like you can take it on a much higher level. And also, to bring it kind of back in a little bit tighter, you shouldn't want to have to scare somebody into supporting a cause. Like there was, especially back in 2021, there was so much fear mongering that was going on about all the legislation that was coming down all at once. And it was a scary time. I mean, it was a very calculated attack by animal rights that just completely failed. I mean, that during and political leanings aside, the facts of the matter are, when Trump was in office, there was no national level legislation that was introduced. And if it did, and I wasn't aware of it, it didn't go anywhere. And really, local stuff was to a minimum. We were pretty good. Biden took office, and before the end of the month, January 2021, major national bill, multiple state level bills, and it felt like the world was falling, because they're the party that aligns with animal rights, Democratic Party. Again, your leanings aside, these are just facts of the situation, is now in power, and they feel like they have a better opportunity to come at us. Obviously, reptiles are the first target of animal rights because we're the least funded, we're the easiest target. And really it didn't work. But at the time, I mean, there were people who were prominent figures in this industry basically trying to bully people into signing up for a $50 a month membership or whatever. Like, really? This is who we want to be? This is how we want to encourage people to stand behind our industry and how we want to teach and what, like, really? I was ashamed of it. I was really ashamed of it.
Well, let me kind of talk on that, because for me, it was like, okay, like, yeah, what the fuck? We should all be supporting, right? Like, I kind of jumped on that because being who I was and obviously making a name for myself, I want to rally up with what we should be rallying up against, right? But then I realized the biggest loudmouths behind this whole "you better have a U.S. ARC." Where is there any evidence that you ever donated money to U.S. ARC? Yeah. You know what I mean? Or painting some sort of a picture where you should be doing your part, but what have you done? And I noticed there was like a lot of, more than a few. And so I don't know. I just felt like, the whole, then it started making sense, like the aggression behind supporting something. Like, I don't know how I started feeling about that, And then, and mind you, like I am a US ARC supporter, 110%. I love Phil. I love the people behind US ARC. But at the end of the day, like, if someone has some type of feelings, it is what it is. Like, I will never at this point, like how I thought we should, be judging people if they're not for instance, if there's not a US ARC badge in their profile or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, here's what I do think though, right? Like for instance, Darian obviously gives you more perks on Morph Market if you are a US ARC supporter, right? And mind you, like Morph Market's a place where you make money. That's you know what I mean? So what's your take on if you are somebody on Morph Market selling? Do you think it's necessary to like have a US ARC membership if you want a Morph Market membership?
I mean, I don't know if I'm the right person for this because I currently am not on Morph Market, and it's nothing against Morph Market. I've used it. I've been on Morph Market as a consumer since the day that it launched.
You know, Morph Market's doing their own shipping now.
I don't know if it's supposed to be said or not, but I guess it's been said.
For sure. Dude, I'm Darian. You kidding me, bro? Come on now. I could say whatever I want about that right now. We're good. But yeah,
right.
Did you know that?
Yes.
You want to talk about fucking shaking up the industry? Holy shit! And mind you, his rates are like 40-something% cheaper than the average rates out there right now. Not the FedEx rate. I'm talking the shipping companies' rates coming in super low. And if you have a US ARC membership, you get an even lower rate. See that right there? I think that's idea. I think that's fucking genius. If you really want me to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that like the shipping company. You're not a shipping company. You're selling.
You're a third party.
Selling shipments. You're
selling a label.
Yeah, you're
doing the computer stuff.
You're upcharging. You're not even the customers are doing you have an account because these companies don't just give out mass accounts to anybody, and the more volume you ship through the shippers, the better discount you get, which is why you aggregate it all into one platform, because then any of the companies, their account is shipping 1,000 packages a day. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just using a round number for the sake of argument. So if you as an individual are shipping a box a week, your rates are going to be so high that you couldn't even consider doing it to begin with. But now that you have this aggregate account, the rates are lower, but then the middleman they upcharge the end customer as you
whatever
would.
Whatever they want, right?
Yeah, but you're running computer programs. There's really not a whole lot of, I mean, obviously you need customer service people. Like there's going to be an infrastructure there, but for the volume of business that's running through, your infrastructure is low. So you're just basically trying to outcompete the next guy to the bottom, because at the end of the day, it's not like any of these companies are using different shippers. It's all FedEx. And then now that if UPS is even going to be an option, you probably shouldn't even use UPS for shipping reptiles. And the way that I see it, FedEx has been doing pretty damn well for the last year or so. I mean, I haven't had a single issue with a shipment in at least a year and a half, which is awesome considering for a while, every single shipment I had an issue with for about a year or so. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting market because it's middlemaning. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And I figure, I mean, shoot, I'll take an extra $5 off my shipping.
Bro, we're talking like an extra $30 off shipping, bro. We're talking
exactly.
We're talking a lot of money off shipping here, bro.
That's why I said I'll take 5. So if I get more than 5, you're gonna get my attention. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not in the shipping business. That's all I'm saying, bro. I don't want to. Woo! That's all I got to say, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's fucking Crips and Bloods right now.
It's like Game of Thrones over there right now, bro. Especially with the two big ones that were going at it last year, and now it's like, okay, now what? Like,
yeah.
Good luck.
We'll see, man. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
This is an interesting question. Scott's asking how many full-time breeders are in the U.S. It's a really good question.
How do you answer that? You can't answer that.
No, but we definitely can answer it, which is interesting considering, we're lucky to have a dozen in Australia. I mean, I would say
Australia's limited to so many animals you can work with.
Well, and they're limited for a lot of different things in Australia. But I mean, I would say probably 1 to 2,000, maybe. Think more than that.
I wouldn't even know where to guess. I would have no clue. I feel like because it's really hard. It's really hard to do. Like, how many full-time breeders that you even know that are full-time that are even saying anything? You don't know that.
A decent amount. You can kind of, but then also, like, would you include pet stores in there? Would you include, like, what is it, like, full-time reptile industry professionals? Because then you could include all of, like, the corporate people, like, Dubia, Zoom, Exo.
I bet who could get a good number. I mean, I'm wondering how many we could determine just off MORPH market who are full-time breeders. I'm wondering if there's any kind of, like, wondering. But I mean, you know how many people I've had on this show that have 100+ clutches a year and they still have a full-time job? Like, gangster ass shit, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I could, but then you have people like me who, like, would you even really? Because I guess I am a full-time breeder, but I've only been full-time for about a little less than a year and a half. So, like,
nah, bro, you're in it. Even though you had a salary, you were still in this full-time. Like, you've been a full-time reptile person.
I've been
for a long time.
I mean, it in the animal field, it's been my only thing I've done since I was 13 from, like, a work standpoint. But yeah, I mean, I think it really, it just depends on how you look at it, what your metrics are. But I mean, and then, yeah, maybe don't think it's I mean, it's really hard to say. I would say probably a whole hell of a lot more than Australia, but
sure, yeah. Only, like, again, because we have so many we have access to so much more to work with than they do.
Yeah,
so, yeah, we're the biggest. I don't think anyone's bigger than us, for sure.
As, like, a country,
as far as full-time breeders, like people who are actually doing this, like, full-time.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no one who comes close. I mean, I would say I'd be curious as to know if from just a number standpoint, if more business is done in Asia than in the US.
I mean, that's a possibility,
especially with exports, and then
Asia's so huge.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, between the major countries that are markets are Japan, South Korea, China, and then a lot of stuff exits from Indonesia and Malaysia. I mean, the combined population of those countries is north of 1.5 billion, and the U.S. is 300 something million. Like, they literally have 5 times the potential market that we do in a handful of Asian countries. So, I mean, a lot of people who are the most successful full-time reptile people do a majority of their business in Asia. And that's where the best money is for them, and the most routine money, especially because I don't believe at the moment, like, the ratio of breeders to keepers here compared to breeders to keepers in Asia is probably such an extreme discrepancy. It's not even funny. Like, and I think that's probably part of why the market right now has taken a bit of a sideways turn. Is I think we've created so many breeders that that ratio of breeders to keepers is getting us to the point where, like, everyone's kind of trying to achieve the same goal without acquiring a new customer base. Where if you're in Asia and there's one breeder for every 100,000 keepers, I'm just making that number up, you're probably not going to struggle for your sales.
All right, next topic.
All right. Am I stepping on your toes for tomorrow?
No, I mean, it's kind of a boring question. No offense. I was just kind of like, I don't know why that matters. How many people are in the? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not trying to go on that whole tangent. Like, I want to get to the next topic. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I guess then, really, the next topic is, I'll let you pick the topic. Either a deep dive into kind of like where you've taken the podcast and your goals with it, or do you want to talk green trees?
Green trees. Let's do green trees. Been waiting to talk green trees.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, was it 14 for 14 perfect clutch?
Yeah, finally.
I mean, how many years is this now of breeding green tree pythons to get here?
Yeah, people don't know that my very first clutch ever from any snake was from a green tree python, not a ball python.
Really? I didn't even do that.
Yeah, crazy,
Oh
right?
wow.
Yeah, it was from a import that I got from Joe, a sarong. She was an adult, paired her up. I didn't see her ovulate. She just looked big. And then I had one of my buddy, John, who sold me that designer, Biak Vinsky, told me, he's like, oh man, she looks gravid. Like she's going to give you eggs. And I'm like, he's like, look for her shed. She should shed soon. I'm like, okay. So mind you, I had her in a Target tub, heat tape on the bottom, on the bottom, which I don't recommend. And I had like at night, I had exact same temps as the ball pythons. I'll never forget. Like, cause I thought that's what you did.
Yeah.
And so mind you, I'm coming in every fucking morning waiting for a shed. And then I finally come in, I see eggs all over the floor. And I'm like, oh my God. And there were some that looked good and some that didn't look good. And then I remember telling Andrew, I was like, dude, look what I got. He's like, yeah, she laid them like that because she doesn't like them. She's like, they're not good eggs. And I remember I was like, what? And I remember being so happy to like immediately feeling like negative because Andrew was like, he's like, those eggs are not going to go the distance. And I'm like, and I was like, how the fuck do you know this? Like, I was like, you don't know this. And so, but mind you, oh boy, was he right. You know what I mean? But then one actually did. So mind you, she laid 16 eggs and one went the distance. And that was the original Chapo. My original Chapo. And that was 2018 when I produced when I produced the original Chapo. And mind you, like, I was going through a lot with like getting a good hatch rate. Like I would get eggs, but then I would go like all the way to like the final day where these eggs are dimpled, but they're just dead in the egg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was the first couple experiences with chondros. Like I was getting eggs. I was getting them to go day 50 something, but then they weren't coming out. And I had to like physically cut them open to see that they were dead in there. You know what I mean? And so I went through that for like the first 3 clutches, I would say, like a lot of, and then mind you, my third clutch is when I actually got like 9 out of the 15 to come out of the egg, and they all ate, and then they all prolapsed and died after that. And I was like, what the fuck? And I couldn't believe that because I thought after they were eating, I was in the clear. I was like, oh, we're good. And that was when I had that legendary Marshall Mendez moment when I shared and we already had a group text thing going by that time. And I sent the picture of like my chondro eating. I'm like, yes, I'll hit 8. And Marshall's like, oh, cool. Next is prolapse. And I was like, wow, I was kind of mean. Like, why would you say that? And then sure enough, bro, one after another, they all prolapsed. And that was the last clutch I had before moving here into the new trap.
Okay.
And when I moved into the new trap, I got a clutch from a Biak where all the eggs, same thing. So she gave me 15 eggs, 7 of them went the distance, and they're all dead in the egg. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I chalked it up as, okay, I just moved her into here or whatever. I was just like, maybe it just wasn't, she just wasn't she wasn't happy with their setting or whatever the fuck, right? So I was like, next year's going to be the year, which was this year, right? And so I got my first clutch in January. No, I take that back. First clutch in April, 17 slugs and 1 good egg. And so I throw the 1 good egg in the incubator, and all my mentors are like, dude, that egg is not like, they're like, don't get your hopes up. And I'm like, I get it. I don't have hopes up at all no more when I do this. I don't trust me. So I, in my head thinking that snake is fucking not going to make it. And so while I have that 1 egg incubating, I get another clutch from another Biak. 16 slugs, all slugs. And that's, remember when you came over, I was like, dude, I got back-to-back slugs. Like I'm fucking, and that's when I realized the way I was running these panels was fucking killing me. Like it was way overheated. Okay. And if people want to know, well, MJ, how did you overheat your panels? I only had 1 probe per level. And mind you, I have 16 cages. So I had 1 probe in 1 enclosure for that whole level. Okay. And the way my room works, like there's a wall right here and the sun hits, it all did like this section could be hotter than this section. You know what I mean? So everything was fucking whack. All the temperatures were whack. Like when 1 enclosure had the right temps, the one below it was cooking or some shit. It was just not smart at all. And mind you, like I kind of like told myself, like, dude, should these have individual probes? And I'll never forget, like, just bought the house, money was tight. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking pretty strapped right now. Like, I can't drop $500. I can't drop $1,000 on 2 herp 6s right now. You know what I mean? Like I remember I was like, I got to work with what I have. And that was the stupidest thing ever. Like that was, you know, like, cause like, you know, there's certain things in this reptile game you can get away with. Ball python game, you get away with a lot of the heat fluctuations. You can get away with a lot. And that's kind of what I thought it was going to be going into all these species, and it's not. And so, but yeah, once I figured out the heat was a problem, once I actually like dialed down, and I told you when you came down for Trap Fest, I was like, dude, it's been a few months now and my heat's been good and I'm waiting on a clutch. And you're like, all right. And so that clutch was dropped in June, and 14 eggs, all perfect. And they all hatched and they all did good. So 14 for 14. And yeah, that's my very first like 100% success rate with any chondro for sure, which feels good. You know, I'll tell you that much. Like, but mind you, like I felt so good going into it because I finally had an incubator that was dialed in. I'm finally in a room for over a year. I figured out the temps. You know what I mean? And here's the thing too, man. Like I think having a dialed incubator is everything, man. Especially with the chondros. Like you got to have a certain way that the incubator works that get the chondros to hatch. And once you do, you don't fucking switch a thing. Don't fucking switch a thing. You know what I mean? And I finally found that. I finally found like what works for me. And to where I got, you know, and like I said, I felt confident after that one egg. You know, that one egg out of the whole clutch of slugs, because everyone told me, I was like, dude, don't, you know, like it's not going to work. But I was like, well, fuck. If that one little snake hatched in that incubator has to be working some type of good. You know what I mean? And so I felt very confident going into the next clutch. And and yeah, man, I would definitely say the game changer for people listening. Shout out to everyone tapped in, but dropping the temps was the key for sure. You know, you could straight bake for a certain time, but once that day 40 happens, few things need to happen for sure. Temps need to drop. They don't need to drop drastically, but they need to start going down. And you got to make sure that fucking egg box has holes in it. You know, it needs to breathe. It doesn't need crazy holes, but it needs to have ventilation. And I never had ventilation in any of the other boxes before. I used to just, because, you know, Gary doesn't do it. There's people out there who just don't do it.
Yeah, sure.
Because it worked for them. For me, it was not working at all. And so once I figured out the whole ventilation thing also with the lower temps, I felt like that was like a huge, like, that was it. That was like the fucking the icing on the cake for me, was the lowering the temps, good ventilation inside the egg box, and my ambient humidity in the incubator was high. Normally I didn't give two shits and it was like 30. My shit's 75 now. So
what did you drop that temperature to once you hit 40?
So I do 87.3, and then once day 40 comes, I go down to 86.5.
Okay.
And then I'm dropping like a point every day almost. I get it. I drop points until I get to 85.5.
Okay.
So usually by day 49, it's like 85.5.
Yeah.
And then they all, I mean, not all, but I got my first pip on day 52.
Okay.
Is like, that's like the average day for a lot of keepers, day 52.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially with python eggs, you know, they're respiring and they're giving off heat at the end there. It definitely does happen where if you're not set up right, you can have your eggs cook themselves by letting them get too far advanced without, you know.
You're gonna be proud of me on this one.
Okay.
This is the first chondro clutch I did not one like help pip. I did not cut. All these pipped on their own. Now, mind you, after their head came out, I did get, because I was told or encouraged to, once their head pops out, you could maybe help them out a little bit. And Patrick got mad because he said I went a little too ball python-ish with it, which maybe I did. But it was still cool as fuck. You know how good it felt, bro, to see just on its own the head poke out. That was like the biggest I wanted to cry moment, because I'm like, fucking finally. This dude, every time I went in there scared, thinking they're dead, you know what I mean? And so finally I just let the shit roll, you know, because like I said, I was so much confident now with my incubator, where I was like, dude, they're gonna hatch. And mind you, like, you know, the egg, now that I know what a good egg looks like throughout the whole process, you know, there's really nothing to worry about. Like you know, it dimples at a certain point.
Yeah.
And then you look for little bit of like scratches and it's just like nothing to kind of worry about. But you need that kind of experience. The thing is, bro, like I went through a lot of hell in the beginning. That's all it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually the next question I was going to about when you switched up your temperatures on your females. So, what was the change you made once you started implementing more probes and individualizing? And then I'm curious if you saw behavioral changes in the females now that their temps were a bit cooler and more dialed in.
So when I had these fucking panels all rocking and rolling, when all fucked up, these chondros didn't move. They had their spot and they didn't move. Yeah. And what kind of fucked me up is like, no matter how, like some of my BX, no matter how hot the panel is, they stay under the panel. They don't want to move. So like, I never really saw a sign of like discomfort or like panic because it was too hot, but it was too hot for sure.
Yeah.
So once I realized the panels were fucking me, basically, I shut all the panels off. So once I shut all the panels off, within 3 days, I noticed like females perching in a different part of the enclosure. Like, you know, it felt cool to see them like finding different spots to go to.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was awesome to see. And Ryan Young was the one to tell me, he's like, bro, watch your snakes start acting differently now that they're not being cooked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a couple different things. They move around more and they don't hate you as much, you know. But mind you, a lot of my snakes don't hate me. My BX like to eat. But anyway, so.
But a hot snake, an agitated snake. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's why the most average, or not average, I'm sorry, the most common new chondro keeper who complains about their snake or chondro that won't stop biting them is because it's too hot in that fucking closure. I promise you, bring it down to low 80s and watch what happens and give them some time. I promise you. So anyways, I cut off all the panels and I went strictly ambient, like strictly ambient. Okay. The only one, and mind you, this is after I bought my herb stats. They all got individual probes now. Okay, so once I did the right thing, I killed all the panels. Okay, and mind you, why I killed the panels, that's when I paired up the most recent girl with the same male, mind you. So this male that sired the 2 other slugged out clutches also sired this one. He sired 3 clutches.
Oh, what? Jeez.
Yeah,
he put some work in.
Yeah, but I was also worried because I was like, dude, maybe he's fried. Like maybe his, you know, because I was being told like, oh, your male sperm was cooked, and that's why, like, you know, he's not producing any good sperm, and he might be done for the year. And I was hearing all this shit, and I'm like, oh, great, like, this might be a fucking another bad clutch, you know? But sure enough, no, dude, no, I'm telling you, man, it was fucking solid. And so, yeah, the only temperature the only panel I had on was the gravid female, or the female that was getting locked, and I kept her, and she's on the bottom right-hand corner. And I kept her at 83 for 12 hours during the day. And then at night, it just went normal ambient. And my room nighttime doesn't get anywhere colder than like 76, 77, summertime. Like, and so, but once we get into winter, it gets to like low 74, 73. But nothing too crazy, right? But mind you, I had the success with this chondro clutch like well into spring. Like this was already almost summertime, you know? So and so that's why I'm very excited going into this coming year. Now that I got these temps, and now that I got winter coming, and I'm gonna be able to adjust. Like dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna have the biggest fucking chondro year of my life next year. I feel very confident saying that, not because I have 76 crested geckos that I produced in my freezer. And no, nobody gets any unless you're Greg Maxwell. Nobody gets a crested gecko. Don't hit me up. Sorry, don't have any for you. Don't hit me up. But yeah, I'm so confident. I'm very happy. I'm gonna go balls to the walls with the chondros next year. I'm gonna fucking break some birds. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how many females do you have lined up for this coming season, or is that confidential?
You want to know how many that are lined up, or how many I have ready?
What's the difference?
Well, meaning like how many I could pair if I wanted to.
Yes, the biggest number.
23 females. Adult females.
A lot of females.
Yeah. I'm going to pair 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck it. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I'm right around there with the scrubs for this year, so I know how you feel.
If it even looks like I'm about to hit like anything remotely close to like 5 clutches, I'm not breeding no ball pythons next year. That's like my perfect world is if I pair all this shit up at the end of this year and I see things locking and rocking and I'm getting ovulations, I'm not going to pair no ball pythons next year. That's my That's a goal of mine. I'm not saying it's an easy comp because, dude, that ball pythons, even though it's a rough market, I guess I have relevant shit, and I do have stuff that will help, but it has to make sense. So
I guess then, if you really start, dialing in the green trees and start having routine success, do you have any like visions of, okay, once I'm good at this and I know like I'm locked in, I'm going to change up my collection or my breeding in this way? Are you going to try to phase out more ball pythons, or are you going to try to scale up green trees? What do you think?
I do have a freedom breeder rack I want to get rid of at some point. But the thing is, I can't get like, as much as I would love to just say, nope, no more ball pythons, I can't do that. That would be, because here's the thing, I still like ball pythons as much as I'm like dreaming about the chondro world and emeralds. Ball python game is a still cool place to be, because mind you, I'm at heart, I'm a morph guy. You know what I mean? It all started with the morphs with me, and Mark Bailey is one of my good friends, and he has put some crazy heat in my racks for sure. And I feel like I should be, I should be in a good place with that, and I am. But I have such and let me kind of elaborate why I feel like I don't need to breed ball pythons next year. I've kept back so many ball pythons this year that I needed. Like, bro, I did good this year for myself, ball python wise, like holdbacks. Like I did really, 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 really well. I feel like I think I held back. I think I'm holding back like over like 20 something ball pythons. So I think right there just keeps me in a good spot where, but mind you, like, there are some stuff I do want to hit, but it's just not it might not just be a main focus for me. You know what I mean? Sure. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I could go into this year pairing chondros and not seeing no locks, and then that changes everything. But all this shit's unpredictable, bro. Like you can't guarantee anything. I could be confident and happy, but bro, none of this could matter, as far as how I feel, because it's just a feeling. And I like to ride on my confidence. It makes me, it's like, almost like somebody likes to gamble on themselves. I'm a big gambler on myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, so either way, it's just I'm just, I don't know. It's cool here at the end. Like, you all know I went through the ringer with chondros, but like once you have so many failures and you actually put all these failures in a fucking notebook or in a toolbox, and then once you have success, it kind of opens the floodgates a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And mind you, like I said, I could the next 4 clutches could be slugs. I don't know, but based off what I'm seeing and the adjustments, I feel really good right now. I really do. But day by day, bro, that's it. Day by day. And yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy I never gave up. Not that I would, because I had so many chondros. I keep chondros no matter what. Like even if I kept slugging out, I'm still keeping chondros. It would suck, because I have a show where I bring successful people on and I have no stories to share with success. But now I do, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude, day by day, man, I'm happy, bro. It's all, hard work does pay off, and I can't wait for the next one. Oh, mind you, let's see. 7 out of the 14 have shed, and 7 have eaten.
Wow. Do you want to elaborate on that, or you?
It's kind of like it's cool that all the Neos ate so far. I still got half that. Go ahead.
Are you flexing your button quail and crested gecko diet at this point?
If you want to be real, I have something that's not a flex. I'll keep it real though.
Okay.
Patrick Holmes, you got me. Button quail for a day old chondro, a day old button quail for a baby chondro is too big. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Only not really a hard way, like nobody died, obviously, right? But just based off what I witnessed and what I saw, like I think button quail is a good option, maybe after 4 or 5 or 6 meals, or like well into a digestion. But the first thing for that chondro to digest, Patrick was right. All the beak, all the fur, all that stuff is a little much. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't take much for it to get to a button quail. And the reason why I know that is because of Fish, my one chondro that went the distance. My Fish had 3 geckos. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. He had 5 geckos, and then he had a button quail. Okay. So his 6th meal was a button quail after just eating geckos. And mind you, bro, every gecko this snake ate didn't look like it did shit to him. Like there was like, you put a pinky in a chondro, baby chondro, there's a lump. There was no lump. So that's another thing too. Like I feel like the crested geckos could be a good fucking source of food, but you got to feed them like every 3 days. Like you got to like, feed them. And mind you, fish, I was feeding every 3 days. It was eating geckos like no problem. Yeah. And so yeah, basically I wanted to give, I want to just kind of own up to, because I was very excited. I thought the way I saw fish digest a button quail, I was like, dude, he could probably take this as a first meal. I really thought that, but no, no, don't do it. Just wait. Just wait. But then I also think button quail is 10 times better than a fuzzy. I'll tell you that much. It might even be better than a fucking hopper. It might. Because you think about how much yolk, dude, like there's so much in this button quail, bro. Like I'm telling you, there's a lot. The fur, the feet, the beak, the skull, like and then all the yolk. There's so much yolk. I bust these quails open, and there's just all this yolk in them, bro. That is good. That's good source of protein right there. Mm-hmm. I really think that's why I still am a huge believer with the button quail, and I think quail should be implemented a lot more than normal in a baby chondro. You know what I'm saying? I have more faith in a button quail or a quail than I do a fuzzy or even a hopper. But I think once it gets to a stage where it can handle like a small mouse, then that's fine. But yeah, I don't think there's a rush. You know what I mean? Like think about how good the gut system is of something easier to digest at a young age. You know what I mean? I that's all I could think about.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense for that first meal. But I mean, that's the thing, man. Baby snakes across the board, they grow fast, and you want to keep up in that prey size and continue that trajectory.
Yeah.
That those first few meals, and probably like the first 10 meals, they really dictate the entire life of that animal. It's super important.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, of the 7 that started right away, how many were geckos versus like pinkies or whatever?
So after I realized that the button quail is not going to be the game plan after all, I just all went to, okay, let me do scented pinks, let me go back to the old, like the original way. And they all took a scented quail. I'm sorry, a scented pink.
Yeah. Quail scented pink.
Quail scented. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say like maybe one was like, took like maybe 6 minutes, but the other ones were like 2 minutes, like very like pretty impressive.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's the best feeling when you get those baby chondros that won't eat right away. That's fucking awesome, because I've been there with some ones that are not quite so willing, and that
you don't forget stuff like that.
That'll put some years on your life.
Yeah.
Fucking will. So now that you have your room dialed in and everything, what are your plans for like your cycling as it comes for this breeding season, now that the weather's starting to cool down? Temp cycle, food cycle, what are your plans?
So I'm definitely going to be doing every type of cycling, I guess there's possibly you could do, but a lot of the temperature and the lighting is going to be natural. It's whatever's happening here in San Diego. Okay. So I'm just going to roll with that, right? So like we don't get our first cold front till like end of November, December.
Yeah.
But really not even until January. Like I want to say San Diego does not get cold, and I mean when I mean cold, like high 60s, like you know what I mean. It doesn't get like that till like January.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna kind of stick to like probably to the December time is where I'm gonna kind of like let the room cool down and give it some time. They haven't been eating too crazy. I think this is the first year where I kind of I scarce their food a little bit. I think they went all July without eating at all, and then August I gave them like maybe one meal for the month, and then this month, and then September same thing, and then this coming feeding I'm gonna kind of maybe give them like a normal like feeding schedule, like every 2 weeks. I'll feed them twice a month, Okay. And so, yeah, so that's my plan as far as like the cycling with the temperature. And then I guess the food, like all I'm going to do by the time it gets to pairing, I'm going to feed them regular, just like meaning every 2 weeks. Okay. And they'll get like a good sized small rat, the females will, while I'm pairing them up. And then my lighting, one of the things I'm like not really a fan of anymore are the LED lights I have in all the enclosures. It's overkill. I feel like it, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, but with the white walls that I have in the caging on top of that fucking bright light with the minimal, like, plants that are in there, I don't know how that's come. I can already, Like I'm not having a chondros can't talk to me, but I feel like they're telling me, dude, this is too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah, so I cut all the lights off. Like the only time I have them on is for a podcast, which is like for like 2 hours, and then not even 2 hours. It's on for an hour, and then it shuts off at 7. So I'm gonna just continue to do like minimal like LED lighting in there, and just because like I said, they're next to a window that goes to the backyard, and they get a good piece of the lighting when the sun comes up. So and I know they could tell stuff from there. So and I open up my room too. So like a lot since I'm in my room a lot. I open up the doors. I let everything get natural lighting as it comes. You know what I mean? So definitely going to just let things go with whatever is happening here in San Diego and just kind of just take it from there. But, you know, being where I'm from, bro, like I can breed things all year round. Like, I mean, things can show me signs that they want to breed all year round if I want. But I'm hoping I could, like, since I'm trying to pair as many chondros as I am, I'm hopefully trying to see if I can narrow down a season, right? Like if I could get some females to go in the same time frame ish, that would be ideal. Because I would like to do it more. I would like to do it more seasonal versus just all year, like personally.
Me too. Yeah, I like having cooling time, breeding time, getting ovulations, getting eggs, babies. Like I like having that. I know when this is going to happen. Just, I don't know, to me, it's just easier to like mentally compartmentalize all of that. If I had eggs hitting the ground and new babies all the time and pairs locking up, I feel like it'd be so much harder to try to balance all of that out, you know?
Yeah. And right now with like, you know, obviously my kid and I need balance, man. Like balance is everything right now. I can't, in the beginning, it was like, who gives a fuck? Just do whatever you want, like balls to the walls. But now it's like, I got to fine tune shit. I got to streamline certain things. I got to, kind of, if I could get it a little bit more organized, I'm down for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So what are like a couple of your most anticipated chondro pairings for this season?
I got to use the bathroom for this one before this one gets me too excited.
All right.
I'll be back.
Very exciting. He's kind of like, you know, like some dogs get really excited and then they just pee. So, all right. When he is back, we will talk about exciting up and coming green tree python pairings for the year. With 23 females, I would have to assume there's going to be some stuff in there that it's going to be pretty exciting. I've been lucky enough to see his collection of arboreals a couple of times now in the new house, and he's got some awesome stuff over there. And then not only the green trees, but the emeralds as well, which I'm definitely going to bring up after we're done with our green tree talk. But shout out to everybody who is still watching live. Definitely more people on this one than normal, and I'm very appreciative of that. And definitely a much longer episode than we've been doing as of late. I believe the last one that went this long was back with Casey Schultz and Alex Myers, which almost hit the 3-hour mark. Obviously easier to do with 3 people on board, but I mean, shoot, MJ and I have done over 5 hours on a podcast before, so I'm not worried about that at all. But again, very appreciative of everybody who is sticking around. And I guess since we're doing it now and I have a minute, oh, he's back. Never mind. I'll do it. Sorry. You're good. I just rambled for a few minutes, so we made it.
What were we talking? What'd you ask me again? I'm sorry.
Most anticipated chondro pairings for this upcoming season.
Let's see. Well, I mean, definitely. So shout out to Chad Brown. So Chad Brown from Ship Your Reptiles has had this group of Bushmaster designers that he got in he told me 2017, but a lot of other people tell me that these are a lot older. So I'm just going off based on what he said.
Yeah.
They're Aru Biak crosses, and they're fucking all insane looking. Like the 2 females are just like, wow. And the males are beautiful. So I'm excited to pair. So for instance, those 2 females, I have my own designers I'm going to put to them. And one of them is one from Socrates. It's an Optimus Prime Fluttershy baby, which, I mean, I'm not, you know, if you know the name, that's a fucking very potent snake. Probably the most potent. That's probably the most potent snake I have. So I plan on putting that snake to one of them. And then I also have another Bill's designer. I don't want to say it's a monocory. It's Wamania and something else. I forget. Oh, I fucking forget. I wish Alex Warren was here. But I'm putting that one because I think that one's a red dominant as well. So I'm putting that one to the Aru Biak. And those are, like I said, 2 red dominant snakes right there. So no matter what comes out of that, it's all going to be reds. And you know what's funny, dude? I take back everything I said about pairing 15 snakes. That was something I was trying to go for, but I have another goal in mind that's more important than producing that many snakes. I don't want to produce any yellows. It's just a goal of mine. And no offense, but I don't want to. I want to see how far I could go without producing one yellow. I just want to see. I want to see if it's just personal reasons. So, but if that's the case, then I can only pair 8.
Oh,
yeah, that changes everything. I know it changes everything.
Huh?
But also, like, you know, breed what you love, right? Like, come on, let's keep it real. Like, you should breed with what you want to make. And if I don't want to make any yellows, then I shouldn't pair 15 snakes because there's a chance I'm going to make yellows.
But would there be chances to make all reds with all those females with the different males?
No. So that's the thing. Like, it all comes down to so I only have so many red dominant females. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then I have males that are red neos, but they're not red dominant. Like, they came from a clutch with yellows as well. So I have certain pairings where I feel like I'm only going to get reds.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
So you'll entirely pass over some pairings just because you might make a yellow baby.
Yes.
All right. I mean, hey, that's sticking to your guns. I got to give you credit for that.
I mean, and whatever I didn't produce this year, pair up this year, next year will be paired to the red doms. Like, I'm gonna have to just split it up. That's it.
Okay.
Which is fine. Like, I mean, just think about it. Like, man, like there's nothing. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. There's nothing wrong with a yellow neonate. Yellow neonates have so much potential. They're amazing. Like, dude, look at Mark Hager stuff. Like, you cannot go wrong. It's a personal thing for me. I love reds. I love the reds so much, and I love how crazy they can get. And they're the more popular. I don't give a fuck what nobody says.
This is true.
Reds are gone off the shelf. See ya. You know what I mean? Yellows. Let me think about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not as quick. I want to make something where it's like, boom, I want it. And I got to tell you right now, and not that I am letting go of the whole clutch, but dude, that shit's gone. All 14 if I want, gone. If I want. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can't hate on it. So
watch me make like 80 yellows next year.
We'll clip this podcast and be like, well, things don't always work out the way that you planned.
That John Denver's full of shit, man. Oh shit. No, I don't know, man. Because listen, there's so many people out there breeding. I mean, there are a lot of green tree pythons are worked with right now. A lot of people are out there working with them. They have success. So I'm just trying to do my thing. You know what I mean? That's it. You know, that's all.
Yeah.
And I got so many chondros where I could do that if I want. Like, I don't, you know, I there's a reason why I've been fucking stacking this goddamn empire for the last 7 years. You know, I want to be able to just do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you really have a fuck ton of green tree pythons. Like, it really is amazing how many you have there. So
Patrick would be proud. That's why I'm like, dude, Patrick, please come to Trap Fest. Like, leave Texas for once. And he's said someday, but yeah, I would love to show Patrick my BAC collection. Because if anyone's gonna appreciate BACs, fucking that guy. Are you kidding me? That's true. A BAC lord.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyways. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Day by day.
Yeah. Well, as we wind down here, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the emerald tree boas. What's emeralds looking like for this coming year?
Well, I still have something to pair, which is good, you know. But obviously, what we were talking about earlier. Wow, man, the worst that could happen to you, I guess you could say for sure. I'm not even sugarcoating it. The worst that could happen to you when breeding emerald tree boas happened to me.
Yeah.
And you know, I immediately chalked it up to the heat thing, like the way the chondros was, but you really can't, because at the end of the day, the female that passed away with babies in her had babies in her that were fully developed. They look fucking great. I put them all in the freezer, 9 of them, fully fucking formed 9, but she just had these 2 gigantic slugs that she could not pass. Like, I had to physically pop 1 slug out of her, and then two dead babies came out right behind that, 2 full term, and then 2 weeks goes by of her trying to push shit out, and then next thing you know, she's on the floor gasping for air. And it was like, man, I was told, by many people, do this, do that, but what the fuck? What can you do? And I was getting to the point where I'm like, I need to take her to the vet and just maybe induce her or something, because I don't think this is gonna work. And like right when I had that thought is when she was checking out. And I would say, man, so far the most gnarliest thing I've ever done in this hobby was cutting open a snake and pulling babies out of it. That sucked, but was also cool to like the whole like, oh my God, like looking at the inside of a snake was pretty interesting.
Sure.
But the whole situation wasn't. It sucked. It was terrible. But I at least I knew I had to know what was in her. Like I had to. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna just freeze her and that's it? No, I had to see what was in her. And there was and Ed Marino was the one. He's like, bro, she has at least 8 or 9 more in her just based how she looked. But I was like, my biggest thing is like, does she have slugs in her or does she have fully developed babies? And she had fully developed babies. But so the second slug that she couldn't push open was twisted like in a knot. So the oviduct was like tied around, because that thing must have just been rotating and rotating and rotating, and it was literally like a knot. And so that was the root of the problem. Fuck. Yeah. And so that was the biggest blow, man. Like I kept telling myself, God, please, like she slugs out, whatever, just keep her alive. Like just all I want is this snake to stay alive, especially after losing Alba. When I lost Alba, bro, you kidding me? That was I made a video of me crying. Like that's how much that hurt. Like that shit hurt. Like that shit hurt. But yeah, I mean, dude, I was more bummed, because those were Forrest's favorite snakes, and I wanted to. I had so many people like rooting me on for the whole Miss Willie line, the pure Miss Willies, and so. But it is what it is. I still got my male. Nacho's still good, and I got 2 females I could pair this year. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And these are females that aren't as, they're not that old. They're about 6 years old, 7 years old.
Yeah. Nice.
So and I raised them since babies. So, but you never know, bro. I don't know. Like I'm definitely scared. I'll tell you that much. Like after what I just went through, like I don't ever want to cut open a snake ever again. I really don't. Like I really don't. Like my ass Lily, bro. Like I was fucked up after that. Like I was like dazing off and just like it's like kind of watching 2 guys kiss for the first time. It was just too much. Like it was like, dude, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean?
I was not expecting that to be your analogy, but I guess
you want to know what you want, because I would go deeper than that. Like pause, but
whoa.
I will say one of the movies that scarred me for life when I was a kid was fucking Pulp Fiction. And I don't know what scene, if you remember Pulp Fiction, but yeah,
I can't never watch Pulp Fiction.
You never watched Pulp Fiction? Okay, well, there's a scene in that movie that if you see that scene, it's never going to leave your mind. And I saw that scene when I was like 7, and it really fucked me up big time. I was like, what the fuck? And so that's what that reminded me of. That's what I meant.
Got it.
Whoever knows movies knows what I'm talking about in the chats right now. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man, that's fucking funny.
Hey, what a great episode.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, we finally did. Dude, it's been a long time since we busted 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really has. We got to do like another 8 minutes to like have the record Kush'S Korner episode.
We're good. No, we're good. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I think we can pull it off. But yeah, man. I mean, it's been a big year for you from a lot of different standpoints of getting the new room dialed in, and having Trap Fest and having the good chondro clutch, and then also expanding the network. I mean, what's your next? What do you see as the next step forward that you want to take as far as really everything you're doing goes, and then also like with the network?
I mean, my biggest plan with the network is to just stay consistent, right? With the 7 days a week. We've been 7 days a week for 6 months, I think. No, not even 5 months, 5.5 months.
Okay.
And it's not easy. Like, here's the thing. Like, I love everything that's happening, but like, it's not easy to like it takes attention and it takes effort to do what we're doing as far as like not missing any steps.
Yeah.
I got to say, people like you, people like Krista, who's on our Sunday. I have my female Sunday host, Girls Who Love Reptiles podcast, which I highly recommend because she does a great job highlighting like new keepers, but like new keepers who are thinking outside the box, like people who do want to put something in a bioactive or like, you know, something that just isn't always wrapped around breeding. You know what I mean? Sure. Like more just, you know, more of like knowledge type of stuff. And she's on her way to becoming a vet. So she's awesome. And she's so dedicated, bro. Like she pumps it out, bro. Like she's on top of her stories like you are. And so like seeing that kind of like dedication, it makes my job easy for sure when it comes to the network. But it's also like, you know, it's also work for you guys, you know what I mean? And so I just want to make sure we sustain what we're doing and just can continue it. I think everything, what I want to do is locked into place, which is good. Because one of the hardest things was locking into 7 days and thinking, what am I going to do for the 7 days? And I don't want it to be all over the place. Like I want people to know that they're coming to Saturdays for a reason. All monitors, right? And I want people to, you know, Wednesdays, Kush'S Korner, like fucking scrubs, like anything rare, like that's where I'm gonna come listen to some cool shit, right? So I have those locked in, which that was the hardest thing. So now it's just sustaining, keeping the people wanting more as far as like the growth, the learn. Here's the thing, like obviously we're growing, but I still have people watching this show. Even though they've been watching this and they've been learning, they still come back to learn for more. And that's all I want to do is keeping the people, not only new people, but the people we've been getting to stay tapped in with us, you know, because there are a lot of fucking phonies out there right now, bro. Like a lot of like cornball, Temu versions of trap talks out there. Like but mind you, like it doesn't take long for people to figure out where the original shit's at.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? People know there's only one trap talk, and every fucking one knows that. No matter how hard you try, nobody could be a trap talk network. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, that's because of people like you, Steven, and Junior, and fucking Krista, and Emilio. You know what I mean? My man Emilio, who just kills it and slays it on a Monday night. You know what I mean? And then I got Bill Stiegel and Marshall Mendez. Okay, are you fucking kidding me? Listen, we're in a good place, man. So I just want to keep the ball rolling as I've been doing the last 5 years, bro. Like the foot is on the pedal, and I'm wearing fucking steel toe boots. I have a heavy foot right now. That's it, you know. And I'll kick a motherfucker. I'm just kidding. No.
Well, I mean, if you fast backwards to the beginning of our conversation, you know, it's a very believable statement. So,
no, man. But listen, it's just like we're locked in. We're good. We're good to go. And we're letting the machine do its thing, and then we're, you know. I want to do the breeding thing. Listen, at the end of the day, everyone knows me as the podcast side of things, and I love that. But that's not how I want to leave this earth. I want to leave this earth like a Rico. You know what I mean? Like that's what I really want people to look at me like, dude, MJ, like all his clutches, his productions motivate. That's what I want. Like I want to be a Bill Siegel, Marshall, Ryan Young. So I want to be all that in one. You know what I mean? That's what I would love to do someday. So, but day by day, bro, we'll get there.
Yeah. Shoot, man. Yeah, I mean it takes a long ass time. It really
does.
And really people don't really realize that.
Let me fix my camera. I can hear you keep talking.
If you look, you look at the people that you just mentioned, like Rico Walder or you know, Marshall or Bill or Ryan Young. I mean, especially with how many new people there are in, you know, the green tree world and whatnot. There's decades behind those names, you know. And they didn't start at the top. They definitely worked their way there. So it's a grind. I mean,
I didn't mention Gary's name. I'm a big Gary Scavino fan. Like that guy is one of my favorite humans on earth. I swear to God.
Yes, big shout out to Gary.
I love Gary. I love Marshall. I love all our friends, man. We got so many good friends in this, man. That's why, like, you know, when we go to Bill's house or even Trap Fest, like, dude, those. You know what I mean? Like I'm just so happy with that group, and I love new people. Don't get me wrong, but man, I just love the years of knowledge that we have around us, bro. Like we're in such a good place, Steven. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, we talked a lot earlier about some negativity and whatnot, but that really is the name of the game is finding those people who are the real good people, and being able to put yourself around them, and then within that circle, keep out the negativity. That's the real way to succeed, doing what we want to do, you know.
Yeah. And like I said, man, everyone has different timelines. Like, you know, you can't I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand. Like they do listening to you on this show, but when somebody says, "Oh, I know Stephen Kush," do you know Stephen Kush? Like, do you know 10 years old Stephen Kush at Tinley? Like, how deep this fucker goes back? You know what I mean? And mind you, somebody in 5 years from now might just come in and see all your scrub success and be like, "Fuck, like, okay, how hard is that, motherfucker? Years, my life." And Steven, you could say you put your life on this shit, bro. You really have. That's why, like, this is, bro, this is why, no offense, there's people who are doing this and there's people who are doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I love everyone a part of this, but I'm in this for a lot of different reasons than other people. That's it.
Sure.
I have a fucking life. I have a career. You have a life and career in this. Not a lot of people have that. Let's be honest. That's
sure.
why I gotta just like understand why some people are the way they are, and at the end of the day, like Mark Bailey says, just be professional. That's it. If you want to act or claim to be a professional, you got to be one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a different level of dedication. You know, your life changes significantly, but like this has been my life for 15 years now, and it's hard to imagine going back on that, you know.
Wait, so you're 23?
24.
Damn, that's crazy. 24? Fuck. Wait, so in 15 years, you will be 39. You'll be my age in 15 years. Oh, wow, Steven. That's crazy. That's scary. That's scary. I don't like to think of that. Because that means what am I? Fuck. That sucks. Oh shit. Yeah, let's chill. Let's chill on the whole timeline thing right now. Let's relax. Oh man. Time does fly though, bro. I mean, if you think about it, like it doesn't seem like 7 years we've been rocking with each other, bro.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's still just the beginning. Like, think about this, Steven. Like, you just now got on your own, in a sense, your own home. Like, bro, this is year one for you, bro. Like, this is just the beginning for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be 1 year and 3 days since I moved.
Good man, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Happy for you, bro.
Crazy. Thank you. It's been a year. It's been a lot, but I'm definitely very grateful to be in the position I am. So can't complain. So,
you earned it, bro. You definitely earned it. And we could all agree that like good things happen to good people in this game. Like the stars will align if you just do the right thing. And I mean that. And I mean by do the right thing by the animals, do the right thing by the people and the animals. You know what I mean? Like just come in here with a good fucking chip on your, not even chip on your shoulder, but just like a good head on your shoulders. And things will land in your lap. Like that's it. Things will land in your lap.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, you need to be open to the opportunities, and when they present themselves,
don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
Sometimes you gotta dive. I mean, when I was starting to spend more time with Forrest and whatnot, and when he had like brought up the idea of, you know, moving from Chicago to Indiana to work for him, whatever that meant at the time, it was like, well, you know, this could definitely change my life in a few different ways. And I took the dive. It was nothing what I expected, but it most certainly changed my life, and it'll never be the same because of it. And I'm definitely here today because I decided to make that decision and, you know, dive in the deep end. And boy, was it a deep end, but I'm here now because of it. So
amen, brother.
Well, we're just over 3 hours.
Broke the record. Is this the longest Kush'S episode ever?
I believe so. Should we check the archives before we leave, just in case?
Yeah. What do we need to check? What do you think the longest one is?
Oh, probably the Ryan Young episode.
Oh, son of a bitch! If I lose to Ryan right now, I want to be pissed.
It was either Ryan or Rob Christian, I think. Yeah, it was.
Ryan was before Brooke, right?
Well before. Yeah, I don't think there's been one recently that's.
Daniel Natush was pretty long.
Yeah. Oh, true. How long was that one?
That was 2 hours and 53 minutes.
Okay.
So I beat that one.
Yes.
Keep cruising. Where's TJ? Where's
TJ? First TJ was a long episode as well.
TJ was 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Yeah.
There's Dennis Mac. When was Ryan Young was one of the beginnings. Beat him 2 hours and 58 minutes.
What Rob Christian's right before that. See if he beat him.
Oh, you say. Oh shit. Yep, he's 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Okay. Shit. We did it. First Kush'S Korner over 3 hours.
Thank you to everyone who tapped in, and thank you to everyone who fucks with my boy Stephen Kush in the Kush'S Korner. It really means a lot, and this was a good time.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, dude, this was awesome. 3 hours. I'm glad we were finally able to get this done. It was good to do another podcast, and I think I mean, definitely a lot more viewers than I typically have here on Wednesday. So I'm very grateful for everyone who came over tonight to take a listen, and this is fucking awesome. This was a lot of fun.
Yep. I had a good time, man. And please follow me on Instagram if you're not already, Trap Talk God 619, and follow the network's Instagram page as well. You can catch clips of Steven's episodes and my episodes and all the other hosts' episodes on the Instagram, Trap Talk Network's Instagram as well. And of course, if you're looking for exclusive content, please come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Link in the description below. Discord, and then you get Stephen Kush's personal number. It's pretty awesome. I'm just kidding. No,
that's really getting all those spam calls. God.
No, but seriously, I think I don't take this lightly when I say this, but thank you for all the love and support that you guys give to this network. Even people who listen on the audio platforms, people who just even listen to the episodes that they just want to listen to. Any kind of support. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. And It's just getting started, just so you guys know, man, for sure.
Hell yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, you kind of did all of my closeout duties for me, so I guess I'll just shout myself out. Scrub Shepherd Instagram, Stephen Kush Facebook. The Somalia Facebook group is the group that I run over there. So any of this stuff you find interesting, give it a look.
And it's simple as this, guys. If you don't like us, beat us. Do something about it, please. I'm tired of it. Do something about it. I'm out. Love you guys.
Hell yeah. All right. On that note, thank you guys. Been a hell of a night. Appreciate everyone who tuned in, and we will see everyone back here next Wednesday.